Or shouldn't Patron not be the strongest deck after TTG? TGT. Well, that's a good question. Well, you have Shilma, I guess. I don't know. I mean, this card, Power Shot, is pretty good against Patron, for example. But still. I feel like the archetypes that they're pushing might be pretty good against Patron. So they might disappear, there might be counters everywhere, which it could be. But they're not going to disappear. Like, the deck is not going to be gone from the meta ever, because it's just overpowered, but it might be less overpowered. But I'm not sure. Like, it's probably just going to be... It's probably just going to be not going to be see that much play in the beginning, and then everyone's just going to fall back to Patron, and they're going to nerf it. That's probably what's going to happen, honestly. It was the same with Undertaker. It's just the cards in Patron are just, they're so strong. It's just, yeah. Like, Acid Maw and Dreadscale, yeah, sure, it's a great combo to kill Patrons, but it's like, it's so inconsistent. It's never going to happen. Yeah, next card. I started now, by the way. I just wanted to talk about the classes first. Did my stream go down again? Or what happened? Did something happen? Oh, it went down for a second. Oh, okay, okay. Well, yeah. Yeah, and I don't think I'm going to be playing ladder until this expansion comes out, because like the last half month or so I've just been forcing myself to play ladder just to like see if it's fun, but it's really not fun, especially when like I play patrons for one day and I go like 15-0. It's just not, doesn't feel like that good. But yeah, next card. Let's do King Selec. So King Selec, reveal them in your deck, blah blah blah. If you cost more, draw it. So that's a fucking amazing card. So I'm assuming the decks you're gonna be playing this in, you're gonna have like a 60, like between 40 and 70% chance of getting a minion that you want, or just drawing a minion. And if this card said 40 to 70% base in your deck to draw a minion, then I would play it. So I'm definitely gonna play it. It's super good for Control Hunter. But I don't know. It's hard to judge the joust mechanics, because I know, like this card for example is good when it's, even if the joust effects doesn't go off all that often, it's still an okay card to play just because it's a 3/2 beast, which is vanilla, and then you're getting the super powerful effect on top that sometimes happen. So it's like, I think it's worth playing, just because if you don't get the effect, it's not like you die from not getting the effect. It's not like you're like losing 5 mana or 2 mana or 1 mana if you're not getting the effect, but it's very hard to say. But the card seems really strong to me, and I know I would play it even if it said like 60% of the time you get a beast. And if it said 70 or 80% of the time you get a card, then I would always play it in every single one of my decks in the game. So I don't know. Seems like a very good card though, King Selec. It's not a beast. It is. It is. It's a beast. It's just that they haven't shown the tag. I'm pretty sure it's a beast. I saw the beast tag at least. Wait, it's not here, but I think the. Let's see. See if I can find another one. Pretty sure it's a beast, at least. It's not a beast? It's not a beast? I thought it was a beast. I think the... I don't get it. I was so sure that I saw the beast tag yesterday. Didn't I? It was a beast, right? Spillkärlek. No, wait, no, that's wrong. Yeah, here it's a beast. It's a beast. It is a beast. It's written on the right. Yeah, beast. It's a beast. Yeah, then the card is great. If it wasn't a beast, then it might have been way worse. So I was just hoping it wasn't. It was a beast, and it was a beast. So good lord, that's good. But yeah, Hunter seems interesting. I don't know. Like you're never gonna see the super control hunters just because it's not the way you use your hero power. But I mean, higher mid range, playing like Ragnaros and shit that we've already seen, seems like it's gonna be way better with these cards. And I mean, we might see Control Hunter, but like the hero power is just so bad for Control. You're just like the cards that Hunter has for Control needs to be so strong if they're gonna compete with the hero power for aggro. So I don't feel like these cards are that strong. Like they're strong, sure. Dreadscale is super strong, Power Shot is good, Bram Bangler it's really good. King's Alec is good, but they're probably not like strong enough to compete with aggro. I mean, that's just silly. Let's do some other cards. What have I done so far? Paladin and Rogue, right? Let's do Druid. And Druid is also super interesting. Because I felt like they were really smart with the design of the Druid cards, because Druid, it's really easy to make Druid overpowered, right? With wild growths and innervates and stuff. But the cards they gave Druid weren't anything that kind of makes wild growth or innervate more overpowered, I think. They just made cards that are sort of interesting, and cards that you can sort of make decks around, and cards that are good fits in decks, and stuff that Druid lacks. They didn't make any overpowered innervate wild growth cards so you can play with them, you know? But yeah, people still think Aviana is good, which she is bad. There's no way the card is good, right? But yeah, it's not gonna see play. But I think all the beast cards they introduced are really interesting. Like Knight of the Wild is a very good beast card if you can play a ton of them, but there's probably not enough beast synergy and shit in the game yet to do that. Other decks are just better, but it's like interesting. If Druid gets more beasts, then maybe, but at the moment there just seems like there is a lack of beasts. Like if Darnassus Aspirant was a beast, then maybe. But since Darnassus Aspirant is not a beast, then no, probably not. But it's cool. It's cool they're making these cards, because the card isn't bad. It's like, it can actually be used in a beast deck. But like, cards like Druid of the Fang, it's just bad. Like, it's just bad. It's not even going to be used in a beast deck. But Knight of the Wild is actually a good card, which is nice. And it's the same with Astral Communion. Like, it's probably not going to see any... What the fuck? What was the robot thing? Guys, I unplugged all my cables now, just in case. I don't know what happened with the robo voice. Let's do that again. But yeah, I don't know what I cut off, but I'll just do the Knight of the Wild again. But yeah, like I was saying with Knight of the Wild, card is super interesting, and it's actually a good beast synergy card, but it's probably not going to be good because beast druid is not good. It doesn't seem like there's enough synergies yet, but the card is super interesting, and it's a pretty good card, so if they ever choose to like introduce more good beasts to druid, then sure, I could see myself playing this. But right now, it's like if you want to play beasts, then no, doesn't work. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but if Darnassus Aspirant was a beast, then Knight of the Wild might have been playable, but no, not at the moment. Yeah, the most interesting one is this. I'm going to be talking about this later. It's super good. But yeah, Astral Communion. Astral Communion is very, very cool. It's like super, like decks. If you want to build your deck around this, then you can. And it's very nice they're making this card, like, or cards like this, because even though they don't see play in this expansion, they're very cool cards that might see play in the future. But like, you're probably not going to see the Astral Communion deck yet, but you might see it somewhere in the future. And it's a very cool card to make decks around, and it kind of like incentivizes people to try and like make decks and not just sit there and like play all their neck deck patrons and hunters and shit, you know? Because if you can break Astral Communion, then it's pretty good, but you probably can't break it yet with the current cards. But I mean, if you can in the future, then you're going to be rewarded by a lot for doing that. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Savage Combatant Inspire, give your hero +2 attack. Like, when they showed it in the show match, it looked pretty good. But, it's not better than Shredder. And there's not it's not better than Keeper of the Grove or Shredder. And both of those cards are pretty much going to see play in every druid. So I don't see this seeing much play. It's pretty good for a new like a nutrition kind of game where like you get your hero power gets 2+ attack and you get to remove stuff, but it's just not strong enough. It's probably not going to see much play. The card is pretty good. It's just not better than Shredder or Keeper of the Grove. But if Beast Druid ever becomes a thing where you play more minions and less combo shit, then yes. But right now, Beast Druid doesn't look like it has all the support it needs, so probably not. But it's cool. It's not a bad card. Like, it's a good card, but it's just not enough synergy for it. And that's kind of the thing with a lot of these cards. Like, none of the cards that they release, or Aviana is pretty bad, but all these cards are just cards that aren't bad. They need decks to be built around them, and they need synergies, and they need people that can figure out how to make them work. But they're not bad cards, any of them. Darnassus had a Shredder. That's gonna be the new Trolden thing. I was playing Freeze Mage! No wait, you're not playing Shredders in Freeze Mage. Oh, I was playing Mech Mage, and I was gonna kill him with 2 Firebolts next turn. My Shredder drops Darnassus Aspirant, and I lose 1 mana, and I lost the game. Sad face. Next card, Wild Walker. You're a friendly beast, 3+ health, so first thing I'm going to do is compare this to Houndmaster. You kind of can't because Houndmaster is a hunter card, and hunter cards are better than all the other class cards in general. Like they're a half a mana or something better than all the other class cards. Because hunter hero power is bad, I would assume. But the card is pretty good with beasts, but beasts aren't good yet. So yeah, probably not going to see much play, but the card is good. Giving a friendly beast 3+ health is like okay, because you're only losing 1 health of this card. And yeah, it's like a good card. But it's not going to see play yet, at least. Maybe if there is beast in the future, then sure, you're probably going to play this. It's a pretty good beast synergy card. The only problem with these two, like Knight of the Wild and Wild Walker, is that they're not beasts. Both of them aren't beasts themselves, which kind of makes it clunky. But there's no way I can review them yet. The only thing I can say is that they're good cards in their own. But I can't say anything about the beast decks because it's not enough synergy yet. So I don't know what to say about beast decks. But I mean, they're good cards, like Savage Combatant, the Knight of the Wild Walker, Astral Communion, they're all good cards. But Eviana is shit, but the rest of the Druid cards are pretty good. Next card. Mulch. Destroy a minion, add around the minion to your opponent's hand. This is fucking Mildred, like 3rd removal for Mildred, which is pretty good. We might actually, I think Mildred is almost there. It's so close now, because now you have 4 removals. You have four removals that synergize with your cards and your mill tactic. So you can go pretty late game now. You can play to fatigue and remove all your stuff probably. So yeah, maybe Mildred is gonna be a thing. It's probably not gonna be a thing though. It's just too bad against Sue and stuff. But if someone solves the Face Hunter or the Hunter mid-range Hunter and Sue problem for Mildred, then it's probably gonna see play now with Mulch. But I don't think they can solve that problem yet. I think it's just you need better cards to solve the Hunter and Sue problem. So yeah. You need another Coalite Oracle, or you need some crazy AoE early game, because you also need to answer to high main. Yeah, it's just, it doesn't seem like Mildex can be a thing yet, but they're getting closer. Every expansion puts Mill closer and closer to being a thing, which might be a bad thing or a good thing, I'm not sure yet. Mill is generally pretty known for breaking games, so I don't know. I don't even know if I want a Mill deck, but it's cool. And Mulch is also good in a Druid deck in general, I think. I think Ramp Druids could play this, but I'm not too sure. It's like a sap for 1 more mana, and you're not sapping the same minion, which could be good or bad. Doesn't remove the death threat either. Card, but it's the same thing. The card isn't bad. It's a very, very well designed card. It's just, I don't know if it's strong enough at 3 mana. If it was 2 mana, I'd probably see play in current Druid decks, but at 3 mana, probably not. But yeah, if Mill ever becomes a thing, you're gonna be playing Mulch for sure. Just fits the strategy. Mill might be good against Patrons. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, we just need some discard mechanics, really. That's the only thing we need. I'm hoping that they introduce some discard mechanics soon to the game. Because Mill and discard is sort of the way that you deal with combo decks a lot of times. And we just don't have enough for that. But I mean, Mildred is very good against Patron with Mulch, if they play Mulch. But you need more shit for the deck. It's not there yet. Oh yeah, unless they OTK you, of course. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, okay. Well, it's good against bad Patron players, but if you're playing against someone that is good and actually knows that you're playing mill and he's like, I'm gonna OTK you, then no, probably not gonna happen. Or unless you discard Frothings, but he's probably not gonna use his card draw if he knows you're playing mill, so I don't know. Doesn't seem too promising. Next card. Darnasa's Spirant. Battle Cry. Get an empty mana crystal. That's how to destroy an empty mana crystal. So the card is basically I can look this up on the other. I remember the name. It's Mystic Elf, right? Elven Mystic. Elvish Mystic is the card. So it's basically the MTG version of Elvish Mystic. And this card is played in pretty much every single green deck, which green is like ramp in Magic basically. So yeah, I mean, it's the exact same card, just a Hearthstone version of the card. And like I said, this sees plays in like every single Magic 14 deck, like ramp or green deck, play this card. I think I saw one deck that didn't play this, that was used in the Pro Tour. I think everything else played this card. So from that assumption, I'm gonna say this is gonna be a 2 of in like every single Druid deck. And I feel like that's correct, but yeah, probably a 2 of in every single Druid deck. It's a really good card. I mean, you're getting like a 2/3, you're getting a mana crystal, and then if they don't kill it, you still have the mana crystal. It's like an active effect. Yeah, it's just like a 2 of in every single Druid deck. It might have been a mistake to print this, honestly. But only if it makes combo Druid better. If it makes ramp Druid better, then I don't think it's a mistake. But if it makes combo Druid better, then it might have been a mistake to print the Spirant. Or it's not a mistake. The mistake is Savage or Force of Nature. They can just nerf that shit, and then Druid is probably not gonna have much problems in the future, design-wise. Because Iterate and Wild Growth are very strong mechanics, but you can still stabilize after Wild Growth Iterate starts. You cannot stabilize if you're playing combo. Because if all the damage that you took early game is gonna add up and it's gonna kill you. Yeah, you can get this of Shredder. It's like a nerf to Shredder. It's really not a nerf, but sort of. But the card is super strong. Like I said, Elvish Mystic, 4 of every single M14 deck. And they have reprinted that card so many times. And I think every single reprint they have done has seen it's like as much play as the last one. So Darnasa's Aspirant is just good. Like super good. One of the best cards in the set, probably. Yeah, let's go move on to the next card. There's not much to say about this card. The card's just good, you know. Druid of the Saber. Choose 1 charge, blah blah blah, 2+1 stealth. So you can use this in combo Druid to have 18 damage from hand if you play Terrorson and stuff, or just you have Iterate, which is good, sort of. And you can also drop it early, which is also okay. So it's flexible. But is it gonna see play? I don't know. Depends on the other cards. As like better and better cards get released, Wild Growth and Iterates become more and more of a problem. So playing a 2 mana combo piece or a 3/2 stealth might not be what you want. You probably just want stuff that synergizes more with your OP ramp mechanics. So maybe that's gonna be a thing. I don't think Wild Growth and Iterate needs a nerf though, honestly, because I think if you nerf them, you just ruin the Druid class. But I think if they nerf combo, you don't ruin the druid class, you just make it easier to deal with. But Wild Growth and Iterate, it's always going to be problems because they design druid that way, but they're not, I don't think they should be nerfed. I think they're like healthy cards, sort of. Yeah, it's better than Doomsayer at least. Yeah, Druid the Saber. I don't think it's gonna see play because Druid just is getting better cards to play now. Wait, I heard the song before. Oh, it's Ronald Jenkins. Okay. But it's like interesting, you know. Living Roots. Choose one, deals with damage to summon 2 1/1 samplings. This card is fucking really good. And like, yeah, it can go face. It can summon 2 samplings or saplings or whatever. It combos with tokens. It combos with Malygos. It's just removal for Druid, which is okay, but it's sort of too low value to play maybe. But Token Druid seems like it's going to be really strong after this card, for sure. Because like if you play this with Soul of the Forest, it's like super good, especially if you have minions on board before you play this. If you play with Wild Teacher and any buffs, it's super good. If you just use it as a removal, it's also pretty good. So yeah, the card is like super good. Probably gonna see a lot of play. I don't have anything to compare this to in other card games, but I mean, it's a pretty like solid card overall. Yeah, Token Druid isn't really strong. I mean, Token Druid it basically just lacks this card to become strong. Like currently, it's a cool deck, but it's not strong yet. But when it gets Living Roots, it's probably gonna be really strong, or not really strong, but strong at least. I made a Token Druid at the start of Backlog Mountain, and that played like Zombie Chows, Eggs, Mark of the Wild, Soul of the Forest, and stuff. And that deck was pretty good, honestly, like really good. But it basically was lacking this card. Yeah, it was just lacking this card. So yeah, like Token Druid, it's probably gonna be a thing. It seems like it's gonna be really strong. You might even see Malygos Druid with this card. I really hope we're gonna see Malygos Druid because I feel like that's gonna be pretty interesting. But yeah, it's a really good card. I mean, there's nothing else to say really. Probably gonna push some archetypes and stuff. That's great. I never see Token Druid. Oh yeah, I never see it on ladder either. But I tried playing it myself, which is like the only reason I have any experience with it. Yeah, the card is really good though. So overall, Druid seems like it just gets more solid in early game. So Token seems like it might be better. And then it's getting Dana's Aspirant, which is a fucking, like, probably really broken, honestly. It's getting Mulch, which synergizes with Mill, and the rest of the cards are kind of meh. Probably, like, they're good cards, except for Aviana, she's crap, but the rest of the cards are all good. They just don't, like, do anything for current archetypes. So. But Aviana is fucking crap. Let's look at some of the other cards. So, Hunter, Druid, Paladin, and Rogue. Let's do Mage. I feel like Mage is the least interesting of them though. Like, I feel like Hunter and Paladin and stuff, which is just much more interesting. I feel like the Mage cards are just bad, some of them. Like, okay, let's start. Ronin, that's allowed to couple of millimeters to hand. Probably no one heard what I said there, but it doesn't matter, you can read the text. So basically he's like 8 mana, draw Avenging Wrath for 3 less mana, which is pretty good. I mean, he's the type of card that I would probably build my deck around. Like, he enables decks, which is nice, and a lot of these cards seem like they more or less enable other decks to be played. It just doesn't just seem like they're better cards for current decks. It seems, or Dunasis Aspirant is, but a lot of them just seem like they enable new decks to be played, and I feel like that's the thing that we're going for with this expansion, which is super nice. Because if you can utilize the Arcane Missiles in a way, then it's a card that's really good. But the thing with Ronin is like it's probably not gonna die too fast, so you also need to evaluate how good is a 7/7 for board control, and a 7/7 for board control is pretty bad. So you sort of want it to die, honestly. But it's a cool card. I don't think it's too good in a lot of matchups, but in some matchups and some decks, it's probably gonna see play. But it's not a super good card in general. People were saying this is like the new boom, or I saw some Reddit thread about it. I really don't think it's a new boom. I think it's like way below boom in terms of power level, but it's cool, you know. It might make some new stuff happen. But it's not an amazing broken card or anything, but it's cool, you know? Cool card. Polyboard's very versatile. You think Token Paladin is going to be a thing? Yeah. Token Paladin is going to be really strong. For sure. There's no way they're not going to be strong. I can already like see what I already know what I'm going to be making for Paladin. And I sort of already know it's going to be strong. Just because you're cheating so much mana with a lot of cards. And it's so hard for your opponent to deal with them tempo-wise. But yeah, I'll make that deck when the expansion comes around. I'm not going to play any more Hearthstone until the expansion comes, because like there's just no point. But yeah, next card. Coldora Drake. You can use your hero power any number of times. Card is garbage. It's really bad. I think like it's an interesting mechanic, but I don't think the card is good. It's just you don't really want to use your hero power a billion times, a lot of times, but it's like you play this on turn 6, it survives, sure, you can ping your opponent's Savannah High Main to death and then trade into it instead of playing your cards, but I mean, what is the point? It's so stupid. You would rather just polymorph something. Sure, you can ping Dr. Boom to death for like 8 mana, or no, that doesn't even work. You can't actually ping him to death. Oh. Yeah, the card is just bad. Coldora Drake is never gonna see play. It's so bad. It's like the mage cards I feel like are bad. The other classes I feel like got better cards. I feel like the mage cards are just bad in general. But yeah, next card, Flamelands, a late damage to minion. Fucking garbage card, never gonna see any play. There needs to be like heavy synergy with damaging minions if it's gonna see play. It's so bad in the current expansion. This looks like a fucking useless cards because you have polymorph already. But if they ever make some limited or like some, I don't know, not limited, but like they restrict what cards you can have from only some expansions, then sure, if you can't use polymorph, but it's just so bad because you have polymorph. So yeah, it's not going to see any playing constructed. The Lauren Aspirant is fucking garbage. Inspire, gain 1 spell damage, so like you're paying like half a mana to maybe get a spell power every time you hero power, and you probably aren't. Oh, this song is annoying. Let's skip this song. I don't like that song. But yeah, like it's just bad. A 3 mana 3/5 with spell power is actually normal, so you need to invest like 4 mana and 2 hero powers into actually getting it better than the usual and getting 2 spell power instead of 1. For 4 mana it's just bad, so the card is just garbage, never gonna see any play. Nice card. Effigy. Secret, when a friendly minion dies, summon around the minion with the same cost. This card is really, really good. It's probably broken. Because now you can play Kirin Mage because you have another good secret. And you can play Giants because when you play Giants, you're just going to get a new Giant for 3 mana. And with Scientist, that is going to be free. That's pretty good. And with Kirin Mage, it's going to be free. And that's pretty good. And, yeah. Like, the thing with, like, what it makes your mage deck do now, it's like, it makes your opponent, so your opponent can basically not play minions because of Mirror Entity. He cannot trade with his weapons and his spells into minions because it might be effigy. So, I said this before, but like, what are people supposed to do when they're playing against these secrets? And I feel like it's really annoying as the sign because it's like, you cannot do anything now, because if your opponent plays a lot of secrets like Counterspell, Mirror Entity, and Effigy, probably not all those, but at least 2 of them, then there's just no way of ever knowing what he plays, so you're stuck playing around everything, and that's really silly, honestly. And there's no way to know what a spell your opponent has, so it's just random. It's like, if you want to play your own Effigy, you play your Deathspite and you attack. If you don't, you play your Shredder. Or if you do, I mean, you play your Shredder, the other way around. So it's like, it's just so annoying. And it's so good for Tempo Mage, I feel like. Super annoying they printed this, because I don't know what I'm supposed to do against mages now, because they can play like Effigy and Mirror Entity, and I can't play million minions, I can't trade into their minions, probably can't play spells because some of them are gonna play counter spells. It's like, what am I, like, how am I supposed to play against them now? It's so hard. Because when I was playing Paladin against a lot of mages, if it was Mirror Entity, I could just play my Musters and my Blessing of Kings and my weapons and then wait until I had a sufficient board. But against Effigy, I can never actually know what they're playing, so I will never know how to play, and it's so it's so annoying. I feel like it's just annoying that they made this card. It's just gonna annoy me so much. I'm just gonna be all around annoyed that they printed this. But I mean, I like the Hunter spells because you can play around them sort of, but you can't really play around Effigy and Mirror Entity in the same deck. It's so hard, and I hate that they printed this. But yeah, moving on. Effigy is gonna see a lot of play. It's a super strong card, of course. Like, I mean, it's so much value, and it's so many ways you can use it. If you use it, and like if you play Giants and you have this card, then you're getting a free Giant into play. And some people are like, yeah, Duplicate is better, but Duplicate doesn't give you it into play. So in the current Giant decks, Duplicate is better, but it's only because you don't have Effigy to utilize the other Giant decks. Because if you can utilize Effigy in those other Giant decks that I'm thinking of, then Effigy is much stronger, 100 times stronger. Yeah, Effigy is super fucking strong. I don't know how to say this. Probably broken, honestly. I think it's the only card from the set that I think is they shouldn't, or no, there are some cards in the set that I think they shouldn't have printed, and Effigy is one of them. Because yeah, like I said a billion times now, makes hard to play around. Next card. Polymorph Boar. Transform a minion into 4/2 boar with charge. This type of card is so much better in a card game with blocker mechanics, but in Hearthstone, it's not very good. And the reason it's good is because your opponent is gonna kill your minions before you. You are never gonna be left with minions that just don't really do shit, you know? If you get what I mean. Like, having a 1/1 worm left, sure, you might want to play Polymorph Boar, but you're using a card that is super conditional and doesn't even have that good of an effect when it happens. Like, it's just a bad weapon for mages, sort of. Not gonna see much play, it's just bad. It's really cool that they made it though. Like, it's super flavorful and it's super cool. Like, it's fucking Huffer for mage. Like, this is literally Summer Huff and, you know, Summon Huffer, you know? Super cool. But it's not going to see play. Next card, Spellslinger. Add a random spell card to each player's hand, 3/4 for 3. This card is really not going to see any play. I saw the show match, and exactly the scenario that I've been trying to tell people is going to happen, happened. You play Spellslinger, and your opponent gets, and you get like your Flame Strike. And if your opponent gets a Flame Strike, then he wins. And if you get a Flame Strike, you win. So it's like a 50-50 win, whoever wins the game. And some cards, that effect is better than others. And in Spellslinger, I don't feel like it's good enough. I feel like it's just the deck that you're going to be playing with Spellslinger is going to be much more low curve than your opponent, usually. So having like being able to give your opponent Flame Strikes, Avenging Rats, Consecrates, Hellfires, etc. is just so bad. Because if he gets them, then he wins the game a lot of times. And if he gets Siphon Soul for a big minion, he wins the game. It's just execute. I mean, sure, you can. It's just a coin flip, you know. Like whoever gets the best and most useful spell in that game is gonna win the game. And I don't really feel like cards like that are good. I feel like cards like that are just inconsistent, and I don't want to play them, honestly. It's kind of like Unstable Portal, but for both players. So both players get an Unstable Portal, and then whoever gets the best Unstable Portal wins. Sort of. Unstable Portal is stronger, but still. It's like the same effect. And I don't want to do coin flips like that. If I would like to do coin flips like that, I would just like sit here and flip a coin on my all day, or like go on a TV show and pick my doors and see if I would win a Lamborghini or a fucking Mercedes or lose all my belongings, you know. Use it as semi-removal. Yeah, but I mean, you have so much good removal in Mage already. It's like it kills one minion and it has 4 attack if you have something left on board, and it's just so. It's so hard to pull off that scenario because you need to have someone or something on your opponent's board you want to trade into. And if you don't, you're getting 4 face damage, which, I mean, it's good, but it's not that good for Mage. So I feel like it's just a worse weapon. It's just a really bad True Silver that only has 1 charge for Mage. It's super flavorful and super cool though, that being said. Polymorph Boar. Next card, Spellslinger, no play. Polymorph Boar, no play. All of these, probably no play. Maybe Ronin could see some play, but not too sure. Fallen Hero, your hero power deals 1 extra damage. This card is fucking great in Arena, but it's not great in Constructed. It's really bad in Constructed. Because you have Sorcerer's Apprentice and Mad Scientist, and you don't need any more 2-drops. And in the late game, there are just better cards to play. So it falls behind, basically. Just, there's no point in playing it. And, I mean, sure, people are saying like, oh, you can get these amazing Koldar Drake, and Fallen Hero, and like... Whoa. Is my voice robot now again? Did I become a robot, or... Because I heard a weird sound. I don't like Boar, but Effigy and Ronin I think are good. Or could be good. I don't know if Ronin is not good, I think Effigy is broken. But I think the rest of the cards are just garbage. I think Boar is much better than all the other cards. So if there's one card that's gonna... For fuck's sake, that fucking Soundflower program. I will throw my computer out the window if it makes that sound one more time. It's so annoying. It's so loud. Yeah, the rest of the cards are just garbage. I'm not even gonna try and like... I mean, Arcane Blast is sort of a cool card because if you have a lot of spell power shit, then it's pretty good. But there's just not good enough spell power cards in the game yet. But I think the card on its own is not that bad if there are synergies for it. But there's not synergies yet, so it's not going to see play, but it's a pretty cool card. So yeah. And in Arena, it's pretty good. Like Fallen Hero and Arcane Blast is really good in Arena. So yeah. And Polymorph Boar is also very good in Arena. Next class. I think Mage overall sort of just got shafted. It's like the one class that didn't get the good cards. They got Effigy and that's about it, but Effigy is probably strong enough, so I mean, oh, for fuck's sake, that sound is so annoying. Oh my god. Yeah, the 2 a minion makes it bad. If it wasn't 2 a minion, it would probably be good. The flexibility, yeah, but it's not flexible because you need, like, the problem is it's Mage, and Mage doesn't have any token mechanics. It's like, what are you going to use it on, you know? It's Mad Scientist? No. Sorcerer Apprentice? No. Flamewaker? No. Like, all of those cards have effects that you would rather use. Even if it's a 2-1, you would rather have the effect, you know? And there isn't any other token cards for Mage. Like, sure, you can say, oh, you can make a new card, you can make a new token Mage with that card, but there aren't token mechanics for Mage yet. And that's why, I don't feel like the card is super bad on its own. I mean, it's not a good card, but I don't feel like it's super bad. But there's just no way it's going to see play because there aren't mechanics for it yet. But yeah, next class. What have I done now? Rogues are Priest and Warrior left. Warrior's not even mentioned, that's weird. Why is there no Warrior? Use it on Mirror Image? Yeah, I mean... Sure, try it. Like, try making it, but I don't think it's gonna be good. If it is very good, then sure, but I don't think it's gonna be good. You know? Like, using it on Mirror Image... Like, you still need your Mirror Image to survive. And you're using 3 mana to get the pig. And you would rather play Flamewaker in, I think, most cases. But yeah, Priest. I don't know where Warrior is. I'll do Priest first. I think Warrior is the most interesting class in the set, though. And Hunter. So, Priest. Priest. Yeah, I'll upload this to YouTube later. Or not later. I'll make another video and upload all the cards to YouTube. Maybe I'll do it with stream 1. I'm not sure, but I have to edit it and stuff, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, Priest. Oh, Priest. Maybe Priest finally got the cards it needed, guys. Maybe we can finally play Priest. And not have to grind it for like 40 hours a week to make it to any high ranks at Priest. Maybe. Confessor, Palatress. They don't even have Shaman here. I just noticed they only have they don't have Shaman or Warrior. Huh. Yeah, Confessor. Yeah, I already talked about Paladin. I can talk about Paladin again though. Because I play a lot of Paladin and stuff. I don't know. But yeah, Priest. Maybe we can finally play Priest. So, Confessor Palatress is bad, generally. So, if you look at the current legendary cards, then sure, you can get a very good legendary card. But you're still paying effectively 9 mana to get that legendary, and then you're getting a 5/4. So it's sort of the same as Aviana and the other Warrior card. It's very similar. But it's random. You're paying 9 mana. And you could get the effect again, but this is just going to be the only target in your deck that your opponent's just going to be like, oh, I need to kill this. Because every single, like all the other minions in your deck aren't strong enough in Priest. And it has 4 health, so it's just going to die very, very easily. And yeah, it's like, if you get Mal'Ganis, it's worth it. But if you get something that is not Mal'Ganis, or like if it's lower value than Mal'Ganis, if it's like basically lower than 5 mana legendary, then it's pretty bad. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna see that much play. It could, but it's so random that I'm not really sure how to like think about the card. But it's cool. It's pretty cool. Like, it's pretty cool, you know. Summons random stuff, but Xzirez is probably just better, honestly. I think Xzirez is just a better card than this. So yeah, probably not gonna see much play. Next card, Holy Champion. Whenever your character is healed, blah blah blah, gain 2+ attack, and it's 3/5 for 4. So people, I will fucking throw my computer out the window soon. But it's my voice robot again now. Please, like, if my voice starts becoming robot, please tell me. But yeah, Holy Paladin or Holy Champion. Whenever character, I already read the text, but yeah, people aren't really that excited for this card. I'm not really sure why, because the card is really good. I feel like it's kind of like it's a very underrated card because of what it can do. I mean, you're getting like a 4-drop that can kill your opponent. Like, the only reason Light Warden wasn't played was like the only reason, or almost only reason, was because it's a 1-drop. And you don't need 1-drops in Priest because you want to heal your minions. But this card is Light Warden with a better like stats and higher mana cost, which is great for Priest. I think it's like a super staple. I think it's just super, like, very, very solid card, honestly. And it might be enough to push sort of like a combo tempo priest or burst priest. I think it's a very underrated card. It looks very good on paper because of the shit you can do with the card. Like, if they don't kill it in one turn, you go like 2 circles, Pyromancer, good game, you know. Into force needs. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was printed for children. It was. Oh my god. But yeah, Holy Champion, super good. Probably gonna see a lot of play. It's a really underrated card in my opinion. Next one. It's like I mentioned, the scenario with the 2 circles. If you can threaten that scenario to happen, like it can happen, then that is super strong, you know? Dealing like 24 damage in one turn with a minion that is 1 less attack than normal minion. Super strong card. Spawn no shadows, inspire, deal 4 damage to each hero. I don't know what to think about this card. Because the effect is really good for an aggro deck, but not sure. You might have enough cards now that Aggro Priest is good, but probably not. If Aggro Priest ever sees play, then this is like 4 damage to the face, which is really good, you know? Like 4 damage to the face is fucking amazing for an aggro deck. We'll just keep using their hero power, but it's cost 6 mana, I don't know. Probably not too good. Yeah, it's not too good, but I might see play if there's aggro priest. Probably not though. It doesn't seem like that good of a card, honestly. It's pretty cool, but it's just not. It doesn't seem like that good of a card. Next card, Shadow Fiend. Whenever you draw a card, reduces cost by 1. It's 3/3 for 3. Priest doesn't need more 3-drops. I mean, you can play one of these, and then in the late game, if you like play Pyromancer, Northshire Cleric, and this on the same turn, or if you just get Nightshire Cleric or Pyromancer to stick, then you can draw a lot of cards. So maybe it's worth playing one of these. But I mean, you already have like Dark Cultist, which is not seeing play, and Dark Cultist is better than this for sure in the early game. So I don't know. It doesn't look like it's gonna see much play. But Shadow Fiend is like, it's an interesting mechanic. it's just not what Priest needs, I feel like. Does the Inspire effect trigger before or after your power? After. It's a buff to face after. Yeah, but Shadow Fiend, like I was mentioning, is a very interesting card because Velen decks get stronger with this. The Malygos decks. Because you reduce your cards and stuff. But I don't know. I don't think it's consistent enough, but it gives you another sort of Emperor if you can use this card right and draw enough, and then you can combo and it's much easier, but it's so far-fetched. I don't think it's gonna see play, but maybe. It might create some combo priest shit. Confuse. Swap the attack and health for all minions. Why would I want to do this? Light Bomb. But Light Bomb still like clears most of the cards. So would I want to do this in the late game? No. Well, it's another Cabal Shadow Priest. I can swap shit, but that's like the same as using Crazed Alchemist, and Crazed Alchemist is seeing no play. This card is bad. It's not gonna see any play. Confuse is just too slow, too like it's not enough value in one card, so it's not gonna see play. Next, moving on. Put a copy of an enemy minion into your hand. Well, it's bad. You already have Mind Control, you already have Faceless, which is better. So Convert is just like, you get the Battle Cry and that's it. But why would I want the Battle Cry when I could just play a minion with a good Battle Cry in my deck? Because it's flexible, but you're paying 2 mana to get the minion. Nah, it's not a good card. Not going to see any play. Worm Rest Agent, 2 mana, Battle Cry if you're holding a dragon, get 1+ attack and taunt. This is a really great card. It's like a super good card for a Dragon Priest. The only thing is, is Dragon Priest gonna be good enough? If Dragon Priest is good enough, then this card is gonna see play in every single one of those decks. But if Dragon Priest is not good enough yet, then it's not gonna see play. But the card is, it's super, like, it's very strong. It's a very, very strong and very solid card as a 2-drop, but it's just, I don't know if it's don't know if it's gonna see play. I already reviewed the rogue cards, but I can do the paladin and rogue once again, I feel. So there wasn't that many people there, but yeah. Wormist Agent, like I was saying, super good card. If you play dragon decks, you play him, but it's just the problem with all these dragon cards is just you need other dragons to be good, and I don't know if they are yet. It seems like they might be more dragon decks now, but I don't know if they're gonna be better than the other decks that you can build. We're gonna have to see, but it's a good card overall. So next card. Flash Heal. Restore 5 health for 1 mana. Very basic, but the card is pretty good. I would play this over... The only reason I would play this over the 1 mana heal that gives you Light Warden, Light of the Naru, is because I can kill minions with this in Orcanine. And dealing 5 damage for 1 mana is super, super strong. It's very, very strong. So I think this is gonna see play over Light of the Naru, just because of Orcanine. And because if you heal Blade Master with this, then the only thing that happens is you get 1 more health in your Blade Master, and you don't get the 1/2. And not getting the 1/2 is not that bad anymore, because you have Holy Champion and stuff. So you don't really need Light Warden shit. So I would probably just replace this with Light of the Naru, and I would just kill Belchers and Emperors and stuff with this card. So yeah. Yeah, but you wouldn't play a 1/2 for 2 mana anyways. Like, cards needs to have super strong effects, or maybe not in Priest. Maybe I would play this if it was like a 1-2 for Priest. Maybe, not too sure. I think it needs the effect to be good. Next card, Power Word Glory, which is a minion. I feel like this card is garbage, so let's just skip that card. It's never gonna see play. Oh, here are the classes that I missed. Okay, I'm gonna do Rogue and Paladin at the end again, but I'll do Shaman now. Well. But I'll do the Rogue and Paladin ones again at the end. Oh, fuck's sake, this application is making me mad. Okay, Shaman. Shaman is super interesting, this expansion. But I don't know if they pushed it enough in one direction to be a good deck yet. Or to be like super overpowered good. Okay, first card. Mistcaller. 6 mana 4/4, give all your minions in your deck turn 1/1. So giving your minions a 1/1, it might seem very good. Like it raises the overall quality of your deck a lot, but it's just not. It doesn't really do much. You're getting like 7/6 Fire Elemental that dies the Big Game Hunter, you're getting 8/8 Nephtalon. It doesn't matter because like Alec here maybe is good. Shredder might be good with this, but I mean you're gonna mulligans for those cards early either, right? And if you don't get this, or if you get this before you draw them, it's just bad. So I don't think Mistcaller is gonna see much play. It's pretty good for like a late game scenario, but it's just very hard to get to that late game and to utilize this. And you don't need to get to that late game with Shaman, you just have better stuff to do than try and get to the super late game and then have a bunch of minions buffed. Like the effect isn't that good, honestly. It's okay, but it's just not, it's not what you want. I don't think it's gonna see that much play. Like people are probably gonna play it at the start and then they're gonna be like, oh, this card is crap, and they're just not gonna play it anymore. I feel like it isn't strong enough. But yeah, it's just not. Mistcaller is just not strong enough. 4/4 for 6 is bad, so the effect needs to be really good, and the effect is cool, it's just not. Yeah, I'm not really a fan. I mean, you can make your deck around this and stuff, but then it's only a 1-of, and it's, you need to draw it in the early game to have it actually be used well. So it's just inconsistent as well. Don't think it's gonna see much play. Next card. It's a really cool one though, Mistcaller, but it's not too good at the moment. Thunderbluff, Valiant, 5 mana 3/6, inspire give your totems 2+ attack. It's bad. I mean, so when would I use this? Like, when I have a ton of totems on board, I'm already winning with Shaman. It doesn't buff anything but totems. It's a 3/6. I wouldn't play it on turn 5. It's not good playing this on turn 5. I'd rather play something else if I'm gonna play this on turn 5. So it's just bad. I'm not gonna see play then. And giving your totems 2+ attack is not a huge burst either. Bloodlust is just a way better burst, so like what am I gonna use this card for? I'm just gonna buff my board? Well, sure, then I could just use Flame Tongues or anything else. There's no point. Just it doesn't do anything for the deck. It does the same shit that everyone else does. There's no point for me in playing the card. Okay, so I'm getting like a 3/6 and I buff my totems. But then I could just play Flame Tongue. Like, I could just play Argus. And those are just better standalone cards. And this is only totems. Yeah, it's just bad. I don't know. Kind of depressed by that card. I wanted it to be better. Not gonna see much play. Next card, Charge Hammer. Your hero power becomes 2 deal 2 damage. Well, so if you're building a very late game Shaman, which you actually can build now because you have these 3 cards, then this card becomes better, but it's still sort of slow. But I don't know. I mean, I can replace this and then get the hero power, but it's very slow and it's very grindy. It's like 2 damage. So I deal 2 damage to their face. I don't really need that. I don't really need to play a card that does that. So basically I can deal 4 damage to their face in 1 card. Or not 4, I mean 2 times 4. So I can deal 8 damage to their face. And then deal my hero power damage for 4 mana. And if you look at it that way, it's pretty good. But it's like, it's hard. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna see play, but I don't want to call it unplayable because it's like, because it's so much damage if you just use it for face. How is Flame Tongue better than standalone than a 3/6? Well, I mean, this costs 7 mana. Flame Tongue costs 2. I mean, I don't think it's standalone better, but I think it's like if you're looking for buff effects, then Shaman already has Flame Tongue. So why would I want another one that is only good for totems and it costs 7 mana? And if I want burst, then I would rather play Bloodlust. So why am I playing this? I would rather have Neptulon on turn 7, or maybe not, but I would rather have Boom on turn 7 to play. And I can play better late game threats. I would rather play Belcher over this. I mean, Belcher gives me the token. Argus gives me buffs. Like, I heard a lot of people think the card is good. I don't think the card is good. Because it's only totems. If it was your whole board, then I would play it. But when it's only your totems, it's so... I just feel like it's a win more. But yeah, I don't want to talk about that card too much. But I don't know. I don't know if Charge Hammer is going to see play. Probably not. It just seems bad. But I don't want to say it's never ever going to see play. But it seems like it's not going to see play in this expansion at least. It seems cool though. What is this song? This is so weird. I missed review Paladin. No, I already did them, and I'm doing the Paladin and Rogue ones again at the start because I didn't really review them. I just went over them. Yeah, next card, Drainy, Totem Corver. This one, that's useless. Alright, that's useless. I would rather play Shredder. So. Would I rather play Shredder and Argus over this? Yes. So I wouldn't play this in the deck where I play Shredder and Argus as well as this. So then I need a deck that this is better than Shredder and Argus in. I don't see any decks where this is better than Shredder and Argus. Like when I played Shaman a lot, like I don't know, 5 or 6 seasons ago, I think it's 4 or 5 seasons ago. My problem wasn't really the games where I had a lot of totems on board and I wanted the big minions. It was more that I wanted my totems to have more health and that I needed card draw and ways to heal myself. I didn't really need big minions. I had enough big minions. I was just lacking like really good AoE, which is Elemental Destruction, really good healing, which is Healing Wave, and then really good draw, which sort of is Ancestral Knowledge. So I don't feel like any of these cards is what I'm lacking when I'm playing Shaman. I don't feel like they like do a role. I just feel like they're cards that I just wouldn't play because I already do. I can already do that. I don't like, they don't solve my problem. How many cards do you review? Some of them. I don't know. Even Frost Warlord looks better. No, it's not better than Frostwolf Warlord. Or Frostwolf Warlord is not better. I mean, this costs 1 less mana, which is insane. I mean, 1 less mana is so crazy in this game. So it's way better than Frostwolf Warlord. It's just... there are better options with Shredder and Argus. I didn't mean standalone, by the way. I don't know. I don't know how to use the English words, guys. I'm sorry. Like, that's the problem when I do these reviews, because I think I'm saying one thing and I'm probably saying stuff wrong because I don't really understand what the words mean. I think I understand it, and then I'm like, yeah, and then it probably means something else than what I'm saying. It's probably gonna happen sometimes, and please correct me if that happens, because I'm not a native speaker. But yeah, I don't think this card is gonna see any play. I don't think any of these are gonna see any play. I don't feel like they do anything of what Shaman needs. You already have cards that kind of is better. Elemental Destruction is kind of sweet though. It's all minions, which is shitty. But the card is pretty cool. It's like now they have tons of healing, tons of or really good board, really good board AoE. I mean, the card costs like 8 mana, and at 8 mana it's better than Flame Strike. It's just you're getting so much overload. But since you can cheat overload with Lava Shock, then I think the card is pretty much like it's very playable, I think. And I feel like a sort of burst late game Shaman that just plays 2 Elemental Destructions, Healing Wave and Ancestral Knowledge might be a thing, but it's just, I don't know if there are enough cards for that. But I feel like it's gonna be a thing in the future, like, I don't know. Shitty but sweet. What did I say? Oh, I probably said something wrong. I probably said something wrong. Whatever. But yeah, this card is great though, Elemental Destruction. It's pretty annoying because you're getting all the overload, but the overload can be like, you can play around the overload with Lava Shock, and playing this for 8 mana is actually not the most horrible. Oh, okay, horrible AoE. So yeah, I think it's one of the better designed overload effects, and I think it will see play. I don't know if you need it, basically. It's just gonna be like, if you need to deal 4 and 5 damage instead of 2 and 3 damage, then sure, you would always play this, but it depends on the meta and stuff. But it's a very strong card, I feel like. But I'm not sure if you will need this. You probably will. It seems pretty good. What is this music? I don't know what I'm playing. Because like you can play, the thing with the card is that it opens for possibilities, right? You can play it and then you can play a lot of stall and you can play like tons of healing and shit, which you now have. And then you can play some draw, which you now have. Even though it's not the best draw in the game, it's still draw. And you can sort of stall and play your big shit. But I don't know if that's going to be the way you want to play Shaman. But it seems like it's a pretty decent strategy from the cards revealed so far. So I'm going to say Elemental Destruction might see play in this expansion. And if it doesn't, it's probably going to see play in the future somewhere. Next card. Healing Wave. Restore 7 health or eliminate each deck if it goes more, restore 14. So this is the card that absolutely synergizes with late game Shaman as well. If you need this card to be a thing. If you ever want to play like a really late game Shaman, then I mean you have 14 healing, and you have Elemental Destruction for AoE, and you have Cardio and Ancestral Knowledge, and it might be to might be too weak, just restoring health. But it's strong because of other cards. But yeah, like I said, it's a strong card. I don't know if the type of Shaman that this and Elemental Destruction kind of pushes is going to be good enough. But it's a ton of healing, so it might see play even though it's that archetype is not going to be pushed. But I don't know. It's very hard to say, because I need to like try and actually make this in game and see if you can make it work. And if you can, then yeah, but I'm not sure. Is anyone liking music playlist? Oh yeah, I am. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's good. It's just I don't know if it's gonna see play yet. And a lot of these cards are like that because you have to test and build a deck around a lot of them, and it's like I can see the deck that I can try and make, but I don't know if it's good. You know, I've said that a billion times now. So let's move on. But it's a good card. Tusker Totemic battle card, summon any random totem. 3 for 3. A lot of people say this card is super good, but I feel like, I mean, it's a good card. I just feel like yeah, it's a good card in general. It's just from what I saw like in a show match, it's what I'm afraid of, because if you play it and you just get one of the hero power totems, then it's super bad. So you need to get one of those that aren't the hero power totems. And maybe that makes it too inconsistent. But I think it's a good card. And I think it's gonna see play in this expansion. In competitive. But it might be too inconsistent. Like, if you get the hero power totems, you might say, oh, that's okay, but it's really not, because you're playing a 3-2, and then you're getting a totem for the hero power, which is like, it's not enough value. You want more value from your cards. Like, it's not that horrible, like value mana-wise, but it's just not what you want. You want special effects that can win you the game. You don't want stuff that is just okay. Totem for early game and minions for late game. Yeah. I mean, the card is strong for sure. I just don't know how strong it is. Healing Wave, I mean. But I don't know. I haven't played Shaman in a few seasons now, so I'm not sure how good it is. But last time I played Shaman, I know what problems I had with Shaman. And yeah. I played a lot of Shaman like one season. And every time there was just the same problems. Like, I couldn't make my board better against AoE, and I couldn't gain advantage early game enough. That was kind of my problems. And then card draw, and also some healing. And Lightning Storm was a shitty spell. But like, I'm not sure. I haven't played it in a few months now. But it seems like Tusker Totemic is good. I'm just not... Yeah, I don't know. I don't want the hero power totems. Moving on. Ancestral Knowledge, draw 2 cards or without 2. So you shouldn't compare this to Arcane Intellect. A lot of people have, but it's Shaman. And Shaman doesn't have card draw. You need to remember that. Because in Mage, your spells are also stronger, you know? But And it's also 2 mana the turn you cast it, so you can play more cards when you've drawn those cards. But it's the only card draw for Shaman. And the game really lacks card draw. So you're probably going to play this, no matter what. It's not the best card, but like if you're ever playing a Shaman that wants to go a bit longer than just the first couple of turns in the game, like not aggro basically, and a bit better than midrange, or a bit later than midrange, or low curve midrange, then sure, that's pretty good. Drawing 2 cards is like not horrible. And if you're playing a burn Shaman, then you want to look for specific combos, then it's pretty good. And if you're playing stuff like Healing Wave and Elemental Obstruction, then you need some more cycle, but then it fucks up your curve. So, it's so hard. I hate that noise. I need to test them. Like, I need to play with them. I make a deck and play and stuff. Because I don't know. It's so hard. I'm gonna say it's a good card though. It might not see play, but I'm not sure. I don't want to review this because I don't know if it's gonna be good. So I need to try it first. But I know these cards are probably good. It's just I don't know how consistent this is, but this is definitely a good card. And I don't think I'm gonna talk too much about this. I mean, it's like a 3/4 for 2 mana with Overload. It doesn't really fuck up your curve because it's only like 1 Overload, and you can play another Totem on 2 mana, or you can play another Totem Golem, or Haunted Creeper. Flame Tongue probably won't though, but still, pretty good card. Probably gonna see a lot of play. A lot of play. Shaman lacks strong proactive early game and cycle, yeah. This is basically what I meant, because when I played it a few seasons ago, my only plays last game, like my only plays early game were just totems, and they just died, and I did nothing to the board. And I would sit in the late game and be hamstring my cards, and then I would use like 3 cards in 1 turn to remove their board, because my AoE isn't strong enough. And then I just didn't have any cards left, and I would just sit there and try to top their cards, and it was just annoying. Oh shit. That's way too loud. Just dial that down. Origin cards are okay? No, they're really bad. Oh, Jesus Christ, my fucking computer. But yeah, I don't know. I need to try and play Shaman in the new expansion again. I can't review to this music, man. Holy shit, I can't. Because I'm noob? Well, sure. Pretty noob. Like, if I'm a noob, then who the fuck is... I don't know. Does ranks even matter then? Probably not. Ranks doesn't even matter, so whatever. Okay. Whatever. Warlock. Pretty bad cards, overall. But let's start. Fearsome Doomguard. 7 mana, 6/8, Demon. Wait 2 seconds. I don't think the legendary is good. But I don't know, because I haven't played Shaman enough. Like the classes that I've played enough, which most of the classes that I have golden, I've played like many games with. But like Shaman, for example, and Priest, I just haven't played enough to actually know. But the rest of the classes, I feel like I know kind of well. But yeah, let's do this review. So, blah blah. Fearsome Doomguard 6/8 for 7. And a 6/8 for 7 you would never play in any other of your decks, and you guys might be like, oh, but it's pretty good stats, it's like really, it's a beefy minion and shit, but you wouldn't even ever play it because you need cards that like have a battle cry and have an effect, because cards are just getting stronger and stronger and effects are just getting better and better, and you don't want to play vanilla shit anymore. So the only thing it has going for it is the demon, right? But I don't know, it's like, I feel like I have enough demons in my deck now. But maybe I can cut this for Doomguard, but I don't really, I don't see that happening. I think it's just bad. I think Doomguard is just better to getting it from Voidcaller, and I would never play this for 7 mana anyways, so I would rather just play like Xzirez and like stuff. That's 6/8 the Doomguard as well. Fuck. Well, what do I have to say then? Okay, so I would rather play the vanilla Doomguard or something over the fearsome Doomguard. That's what I think. Next card. I don't think it's gonna see play over Doomguard or Xzirez or Mal'Ganis for Voidcaller. And you don't have enough space or deck slots to justify playing all of those and this just for the demon synergy. Because I would never play this at 7 mana. Dark Bargain. Destroy 2 random enemy minions, discard 2 random cards. No. I would rather play Siphon Soul. Discarding 2 random cards is so bad. Like basically you're destroying 1 more minion than Siphon Soul, and you're discarding 2 more cards. And the minions you're destroying are random, so I mean, why would I play this? I don't see the point. There needs to be like heavy discard mechanics or something, and there's just not very good discard mechanics yet. Don't feel like the card is very good. Probably not going to see any play. Moving on. Void Crusher. Inspire, destroy a minion, destroy a random minion for each player. Huh. Well, this is interesting, but it's very conditional. I guess if I'm playing Sue and I get this, it's so far-fetched, right? It's so hard to make that work. But if you get this in play and you keep on using your Inspire mechanic and you have like shitty minions on board and this somehow doesn't die from your own Inspire mechanic, then I guess it's good, but I don't need to get this from Voidcaller. I need other minions on board when I'm playing the Voidcaller. I like the effect is super strong, it's just not, it's random, which is annoying. It costs 6 mana, which is annoying. It costs 8 mana to do the effect, so I need to get this from Voidcaller. And if I get this from Voidcaller, then I guess it's good enough. But then I could just destroy this to one of my better minions. So I need like a very specific board for this to really have great effect. It's just too conditional, I feel like. Like, it might see play because the effect is so strong, but I don't think so. I think it's just too conditional. Like, I need minions on board that, and then it needs to not kill this. I need to get it from Voidcaller. Like, when is that ever gonna happen in a real constructed game? Yeah, it like kills itself. Like, I play it and then it kills itself. Like, why? Why the fuck? Why would I play this card? I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's never gonna see play because the effect is super strong, but I don't feel like it's a good card. It's probably not gonna see play, but I'm not gonna say it's never gonna see any play. But like Dark Bargain, it's never gonna see play, I feel like, for example. Next card, Wilfred Fizzlebank. Cards you draw from your hero power cost 0. Ugh. I don't want to do all the explaining on this card. I already explained it so many times why it's bad. It's like you're paying 8 mana, 2 health, and then you're getting like a 0 cost card. And usually when you play this, you're gonna have drawn like half your deck maybe. And if you're playing a normal curved deck, then like 1/3 to 50% of those cards are gonna gain you value. And if you don't hit, you don't gain any value. You need to play it on 8 mana. So I don't feel like the card is good. But like in the late game, if you have Mountain Giants left in your deck and you don't really wanna like store up all the cards and you play this, so maybe it's so random because you're always gonna play cards that are you're never gonna play cards that like this is way too loud. You're never gonna play cards that like make this effect super consistent. So it's always gonna be inconsistent. And yeah, like this effect being inconsistent is really bad, so I don't feel like it's a good card. It's super good in like the one case where like you tap and then whoa, you get like Mountain Giant, but if you hit an Ancient Watcher, it's a waste. So I don't know. I don't think it's gonna see much play, but it might, honestly, if people make the effect consistent. But if people that don't like, if they don't make a deck where the effect is consistent, then it's probably bad. But I need to test it because usually you're gonna mulligan for the Jesus. You're gonna mulligan for the small cards. So yeah, it's just bad. You're never gonna play cards then. Yeah, I know I say that a lot. If I have Golden Warlock, yeah, I do. Yeah. Fist of Xzirez. When you play or discard this, this is a pretty strong discard mechanic because if you play this with Soulfire, then you need to discard this though, and that's fucking random as shit. But still, like if you have targeted AoE or targeted removal that discards cards, and you can somehow make them discard the card you want, then you can basically Soulfire one minion and then make it random and then kill another minion you want to kill. Or kill one big minion with one Soulfire in this. But it's probably still not worth it for the deck slot. But like in the future, maybe if there are more discard mechanics, then this might see some play. If there are other cards that discard cards, like if there ever becomes a 3/2 for 4 or 3 mana that discards a random card of your opponent's hand, or a card they choose. If there's ever a card that makes your opponent choose a card that he discards, then this card is probably gonna see play. Because then you can like you can choose to discard this and you can kill one of your opponent's creatures. So I feel like it's just them thinking forward. I don't feel like this card is gonna see play now, but it's just them thinking forward in terms of the sign space. Not random at all. You Soulfire face that hits 8. Yeah, but it's like it's a random. I don't like the effects that are that random. Like if they're more controllable, then I like them. But when they're just not that controllable, they're around bad. But if they're ever like I just noticed something. If there are ever effects where you can choose cards you want to discard, so you can make decks that were like this. It's a lot of decks in other TCGs or CCGs or whatever, Or like you have a lot of shit that discard cards. Like you have a minion that you need to play cards. You need to pay 2 cards in order to play it. And if you can choose those cards that you discard, then this might be viable, because then you can just play a huge minion. You can choose to discard this, and you can deal 4 damage while you're playing that minion. And yeah, that might be a thing in the future, but like I said, it's just them thinking forward, honestly. 2 guard and a couple of fists in hand. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Next card. Dreadsteed. So what I said about this card is basically that if every affinity or whatever it's called in Magic gets introduced, then maybe it's gonna see play. And for those who doesn't know what affinity it is, it's like you have like a 1/1 for 1, and then every time you buff the 1 more for 1, you get it buffed, but then when it dies, you can move the buff to another minion, and that minion gets it forever, even through Death Rattle. And so you can just keep on moving these counters on minions all the time. And so if you can do that, and Silence somehow isn't that popular, then you can play like Dreadsteed, or you can play 1/1, your 1/1 gets buffs, your 1/1 dies, you put this on Dreadsteed, the buffs, and then when that Dreadsteed dies, you can put it on the new Dreadsteed. When that one dies, you put it on the new Dreadsteed, etc, 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 you know. But if that doesn't happen, which it might happen because Blizzard is kind of copying Magic, but if it doesn't happen, then this card is unplayable, and in the current format it's unplayable, and it's really bad, so it's not going to see any play. Demon Infuse, give a Demon to... Ugh, fuck, why did I make this card? It's so bad. Ugh. In the current format, if there are ever like... If there's ever reasons why you want to give your opponent mana crystals, then sure. But currently there are no reasons why you want to do that, so in the current format it's bad. And even in decks where you want to give your opponent mana crystals, I don't feel like a 3/3 buff it's what you need, so it's not going to see play. It could have been really cool though. The name is super cool and the effect is like meh. So yeah, it's not going to see play probably. Probably not in the future either. I don't see that mechanic being introduced. The Knight of Evil. Whenever you discard a card, gain 1/1. So this card is very strong, because it's not strong in the current format, but it's strong because if Blizzard introduces discard mechanics that are much stronger than the ones we have, which might happen, like decks where you sacrifice a small minion and you draw 2 cards, then you discard cards and you play big minions, which are fairly reasonable decks in other card games, might become a thing someday. And if that becomes a thing, then this card is very strong. But like currently it's not playable, it's just me thinking forward and trying to like figure out what they're thinking with these cards. Because obviously some of these cards, they're trying to think forward, they're not trying to make them good now, but they're making cards that are like, they can make them better in upcoming expansions. But yeah, it's not going to see play at the moment though. But it's like, it's a good card if the discard shit gets introduced. Wrath Guard. Whenever this minion takes damage, also deal that much damage to your hero. This is bad. So why would I play this, right? On 2 mana for Warlock, I have Nerubian Egg, which doesn't die to Heaglehorn Bow, Fire War Axe, Wrath, etc. It needs to be silenced. I have Hornet Creeper, which is basically a 2/3 for 3 with no drawback usually. And you can trade upwards with buffs. I have Juggler, and I have Owl. So where does this fit in? Nowhere. I don't feel like this fits in nowhere at the moment. Like I don't feel it like it's good at the moment. It's just like a 4/3 for 2. I don't know, it doesn't feel too good. Like, why would I play this? I don't know, like... It has no synergies. Haunted Creeper is better, Nerubian Egg is better. Juggler is better. And I don't want to run any more 2-drops. I don't need this, it's just bad. But maybe, if they introduce some like lifelink mechanic, and you damage this for like 1 billion, maybe. Probably not. And I also remember that there's actually a card named Succubus, which sort of synergizes with these. So you have some synergies at the moment. But like it's not enough synergy, but it's worth mentioning that there is actually Succubus and Doomguard in the game, and those actually synergize with these. And Sulfur. You have some synergies, but it's probably not enough to make a strong deck, but they're there. So if they ever choose to make some other good discard mechanics, then sure, discard is gonna be a deck. But this is not gonna see play, it's just bad. The cards that are playable, yeah, then I can just skip Warlock because most of those are just bad. Done with Warrior, done with Warlock. Let's do Warrior. This is so much more interesting than this class. I fucking love Warrior in this expansion. Okay, let's go. So, Variant Rin. I've already talked a lot about this card and why it's good and stuff. I mean, everyone can see that it's good. So, I don't know. I really don't feel like I want to explain too much why it's good. Because, I mean, everyone can see why it's good, right? And especially now that they introduce all these taunt dragons, you know? Oh wait, the one of them doesn't have taunt. It's like if you're holding a dragon. Shit. Well, it's still good. Of course. Yeah, it's insane. It's very late game, but I mean, it's one of those late game cards where you actually win the game. And a lot of the current legendaries that Blizzard has released, I feel like are just bad legendaries. I feel like the higher end legendaries should be better. And I feel like this is sort of the power level that power level they should have. Like this and Tyrion, like this Tyrion, Dr. Boom, and like Mistcaller, that's legendaries to me. That is like what a legendary big creature should look like. I don't feel like they should look like Nefarian. I think that's just bad. Cards that say draw a card. If it gets discarded, draw 2 cards. Yeah. Stuff like this. There is already in Magic. There's already a card named. Or there's a lot of cards, but there's one card that I remember, which is called Reap something. Right. MTG Reap. Reap and Sow. Is that what it's called? Alters Reap, right. As an additional cost to call it Alters Reap, sacrifice a creature, draw 2 cards. This is pretty good, you know. Cards like this would fit in a deck like that, because you can just play small tokens and sacrifice them, and all the cards that you discard doesn't matter. There are a lot of other Magic cards that do discard shit that I just don't remember the name of at the moment. But yeah, I don't think I need to explain this too much. I mean, it's like, it can net you like 16, between like 15 and 20 something mana. And that's fucking insane, so. Yeah, it's just, like, the only thing is the decks that I think it will fit in. But I think like Dragon Warrior, it seems pretty good with Dragon Warrior. Oh no, it doesn't, because you need to hold your dragons. That doesn't matter though, because you're getting a lot of dragons. I don't know. I'm gonna have to play with this card and see where it fits in. It fits in Control Warrior, of course, but it's just, there's probably a better deck to put this in than Control Warrior. Because I feel like Control Warrior benefits from it, but I don't feel like Control Warrior benefits that much from it. I feel like just a more mid-rangey taunt deck fits better for this card. And I really like Control Warrior. And I really like Dragon Warrior. The list that I played last season, Trunk 1, Control Dragon Warrior list, was super fun to play. Summon itself would cost, yeah. Yeah, if that was ever a card, like a 4 mana 4/3, that when you discard it, it just puts it right into the field. Stuff like that is super good. I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh, so I don't know. Yeah, next card. Sea River. Whenever you draw this card... Ugh, this is so bad. You would never play a 6/7 for 6 in the current format, or because like no one plays Boulder Fist Ogre ever. So you're basically getting 1 damage to all your minions and a Boulder Fist Ogre, and that's probably not worth it. You just need better value cards, so it's just not going to see play. It's just bad. Next card. Magnator Alpha. Also damages the minions next to whomever he attacks. Why is this not a 4/4? Is it too OP as a 4/4? I don't know. Yeah, like the problem with this card is his 3 health. It's pretty... like, it's pretty good against aggro, but I feel like if it just had 1 more health, it would be better. Like the 3 health is just such a huge letdown that it's probably not going to see play. But it's cool. It's a cool card. Not going to see play though. It's cool, but it's not going to see play. Magnetorpus charge. Yeah, like if you put any creature with 5 attack and charge on it, I mean, it damages the minions next to whoever he attacks. So first you need to have this, you need to play it with charge, and you need to have a board where it actually matters. Yeah, I don't see that happening. King's Defender, if you have minion with taunt, game plus their ability. So this is basically just a 3rd War Axe, I guess. Don't feel like it's gonna be played as anything else. But having 3 War Axe is pretty good, so maybe it's gonna be a one-of. But I don't know if there's gonna be any room for it. But people are probably gonna try and play this as a one-of. It doesn't seem too bad. What weapon is this, by the way? Is it variant weapon? No, it's not. I don't remember this weapon. Doesn't matter. Bash, deal 3 damage, gain 3 armor. This card is really good. Like, you can play War Axe on 2, you can play this on 3, and you get to clear 2 minions if you want that. If you don't draw War Axe, you have another way of dealing with early game. You can deal with minions through taunt, you're getting armor, you don't take the face damage, you can put it, like, you can use it on their face. Xzirez, it shields them somewhat. Probably don't need shields them after this card though. Yeah, Bash is just good. Generally, a good utility card. Good design. Actually, the effect is identical. The card is just worse. What card? Oh yeah. But yeah, Bash is cool, by the way. Good card. Moving on. Ogrimmar Aspirant. Inspire your weapon. Weapon plus 1 attack. Huh. That's weird. Well, it's a 3-drop. Warrior needs 3 drops. And like they don't really like frauding that much. Frauding is great in the OTK deck, but it's not that good in control. Aggro Warrior. You don't want to armor up in Aggro Warrior. Great. So you don't want to play this Aggro Warrior because you don't want to armor up. Or you usually don't want to armor up. You armor up like once a game maybe. In mid range, then you might. I mean, if you armor up a ton and you have this card on the board, you're gaining a huge weapon, but then it's like it just dies to some removal from weapon. Shit. Doesn't seem too good. Probably not gonna see much play. Yeah, it's not gonna see much play. Moving on. Bolster, give your taunt minions 2/2. So I already said earlier, or when this card was released, that it's pretty good because a 2/2 on minions for 2 mana is very good. So it only depended on if you had enough taunt minions, and since sparring whatever partner was released, you have more than enough taunt minions, so the card is good. And we might very well see like taunt warrior become a thing. Because like you play this, you play it on a minion, you give it taunt, you play bolster, and then you have a huge board, and that's pretty strong. Yeah, it's a strong card. Bolster and taunt druid might see some play. You just need some card draw, and then it's pretty much sold. Just need some card draw. Strong card. I'm definitely gonna try and make taunt druid, and I feel like it's gonna be a thing. Oh yeah, and sparring partner versus the Black Knight. So you have other combos as well with the card. That's great. Dragon Taunt Druid seems decent. And that's really weird for me to say that. But it seems decent because some of the best cards in the game are now dragons and taunts. Belchers, the new 4-drop dragon, Chilma, etc. I'm gonna go to I'm gonna talk about those cards later. Yeah, it's much better than Mark of the Wild to Black Knight combo, and that was actually something people used a bit. But I don't know, it's just an option. Like if you want to, you can play Black Knight with this, but I don't think it's that good. But it's an option. I mean, it's just flexibility. Flexibility is really important in decks. Yeah, Bolster's probably gonna see play in taunt decks. It's really strong, like 2/2 minions, like I said, super strong. Xzirez champion, battle card for holding a dragon, game boss, attack and charge. The thing with this card is that it needs a mid-range archetype to work, and dragons up until now have not been mid-range, but now that we're getting the new 4-mana dragon, maybe they're gonna become more mid-range. It's pretty strong. It's like really strong. Super strong card. Yeah, like it's probably gonna see play. I mean, it's so strong that it's gonna see play. It doesn't fit into warrior, and it's another 2-drop, which is not that good because you also have this. But both of these cards are just super strong. So yeah, I feel like they're just gonna, no matter what, they're gonna see play. Damn, I love these cards. Warrior got such cool cards in this expansion. Okay, but the thing now is your dragon synergies are going to be consistent, so playing cards like this in the early game is much better. So Xzirez champion is going to see play for sure. Sparring partner, sparing, I don't know how to say it. Taunt, battle card, give a minion taunt. I talked about this with Bolster. I mean, it's like synergies with taunt shit. You have like a minion that has taunt, so it's not like Sunfury Protector. So you get the bolster effect, and then yeah, if you play this on like Armor Smith on turn 4 and then you bolster, like you have a 3/6, a 5/4 for 4 mana. It's not too strong though. You need more, huh? Well, you can get more, but it's gonna be hard. Yeah, okay. So it's strong with Bolster. It's just... Bolster is pretty flexible because it gives it to all minions. It's not a limit cap, so if you have a lot of minions, you're gonna buff them all, you know? And taunt minions are generally one stat weaker than other minions. Oh, and if you give it to Xzirez champion, then it's like a 5/5 for 2 mana. That's great. Whoa. Yeah, Taunt Warrior looks like it's gonna be a thing. The cards are very strong. Let's see, sparring, not sparring, sparring. I thought I said sparring. Yeah, I'm gonna do Rogue. Blackwing Corruptor got so much better with the expansion. Yeah. I actually played Blackwing Corruptor in my deck last season, so I'm definitely gonna play it now. And there are cards like Northshire Cleric and a Flame Tongue Totem. What is irrelevant? It's removal, that's 6 on the board. And Bait's removal way better than Armored Smith. What card are we talking about now? I'm confused. We aren't playing aggro deck? No, you don't need to be playing an aggro deck. Having a huge like board, it's good for mid-range as well, and it's definitely not aggro like this Taunt Warrior thing. But what are you guys talking about? I'm so confused. Shield Slam feels too strong to pass up. I don't feel like Shield Slam is like good anymore. I feel like it gets worse because Bash is just like good. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, well, 3/2 with charge is really great. It's not irrelevant at all. Let's do. Have we done all the classes now? I was gonna do Rogue and Paladin again because I didn't really do them correctly. Didn't actually go through the cards. But yeah, Rogue. And Rogue is just all over the place. I said this earlier. Let's do all the cards now. So Anub, Aurak. That's all the turns. So this is like an eternal. It's like an eternal minion, which is a very strong mechanic, but it's for Rogue, and Rogue doesn't have any late game cards. And if you're playing Mill Rogue, then you would rather like to go more aggressive and play shit that puts cards into the deck and stuff. That's at least how it works in other card games, usually. You have like a card that makes eggs and puts them into your opponent's deck, and then when they draw them, something happens, you know. But if there's ever like a strong control mill deck, which I don't think there will be, I think there's gonna be aggro mill or mid-range mill and not control mill. But if there is control mill, then it's gonna see play, but it's not too strong. It's definitely not gonna see play in just normal control decks because it's not an immediate effect. It's just too slow. For 9 mana, you really want something that like makes your board better. So yeah, it's not gonna see much play, at least not in this expansion. Maybe mill control becomes a thing and it like blossoms, but probably not. Next card, Shadowpan Cavalry combo, plus 3 attacks. It's a Bullet Fist Ogre for 5 mana. Would you play Bullet Fist Ogre for 5 mana? Yeah. Would you play it in Rogue? No. So current Rogue archetypes, you would not play this. But maybe if there are reliable Rogue decks, you would want a 6 mana or a 5 mana 6 drop. But it needs to be comboed, so it's like sort of clunky. I don't know about this card. It might see some play if they're like Rogue just does a U-turn and becomes a different deck that is not like combo at all. But I don't see that really happening. I think it's just going to be more aggro and combo shit. So probably not going to see play. It's not, but it's not too bad. So maybe. Rogue doesn't need it. It just needs combo mechanics currently. But if, like I said, if Rogue just does a complete U-turn and becomes something different, then yep, probably gonna see play. But not if that doesn't happen, then no. That's not a good card in my opinion. Poison Blade. Yeah, okay. Beneath the Grounds. Shuffle 3 ambushes into your opponent's deck. When drawn, you summon a 4/4 Nerubian. So the thing with this card Jesus Christ. But yeah, Beneath the Ground. Shuffle 3 ambushes into your opponent's deck. So the problem with this is I have no idea what the ambushes are. But the effect is super strong for mill deck. So, I mean, yeah. Aggro / mid-range mill seems more and more prominent. Just needs 1 or 2 more cards. But, I don't know. If the ambush is like a shitty card, if ambush denies a draw, then it might see play in this expansion actually. But if ambush doesn't deny them a draw, then it's not going to see much play in this expansion. Maybe next one, but not in this expansion. But if it denies a draw, maybe. It's a very good card though. Next card. Burgle. Add 2 random class cards to your hand from your opponent's class. So the only thing about this is card draw, and they're not from your deck, so you can play other cards instead when you're playing this. But it's good for Mill Rogue. It's another supporter there. It's like Thought Steal but worse, basically. But it's in Rogue, so I honestly don't know about this card. A lot of these cards I have no clue about how they're gonna look like, because you need to know if the decks are gonna be played and it's gonna be played. And to do that I need to test a lot of cards. I can't just like do it in my head. But I think Burgle might see play, even in decks that aren't mill, because I think it's actually pretty strong. But depends. Maybe. It's for sure not a bad card. Next card. Shady Dealer. If you have a pirate, gain 1/1. So it's a better Tinker Town Technician basically. So now you can play a 4 mana card for 3 mana. If you're playing pirates, well, that is super strong. But it's nothing new. It's just, it feels lazy from Blizzard's part. It's just like, oh, what can we do to make pirates good? Well, let's make it a Tinker Town Technician, but let's make it for rogues. It's like, sure. But the card is very strong. It's really good card. If pirates ever become a thing, it's gonna see play. The only problem is it's not a pirate, which is the same as Tinker Town Technician. I don't think this expansion is gonna push enough pirates that it's gonna be a thing. Or it's gonna be a thing, but I don't know if it's gonna be that strong. But I don't think this expansion pushes it enough. But maybe in the future. A way to simply screw up some draws for the opponent. Well, the thing about ambush, so I've seen other card games that have similar cards like this, and all of those cards are being played if there's a mill deck. The only problem with this is it's not a minion, and I don't know what ambush is. But if you're milling them, like in a mid-range mill deck, you don't actually go to fatigue. You go and you fill their cards with shitty cards that you want them to draw, and then you get a lot of board pressure, and sometimes in card games there are effects where, like, if you have 20 spider eggs in your opponent's deck, you win the game, for example. You know, so you just fill them up with shitty cards and then you win that way. And then every draw they draw contributes to your board instead of theirs. Then they eventually run out of good cards to play and stuff. It's kind of hard to explain this mechanic. You would kind of have to, I would kind of have to like pull up a mill deck and then show you guys the cards to make it good. But yeah, Cut Purse, next card. Shady Dealer is good though. When this minion attacks enemy hero, put a coin into your hand. 2/2 is bad because Scientist, and I don't even think there's anything more to say really. The problem with 2/2s is just they die so easily. And getting a coin, while it's very good, it's not like superb. You don't care that much. You care, but it's just not worth playing a card only to get a coin usually, even in Rogue. So I don't think it's gonna see much play. It's great in Arena though, but it's not good in Constructed. Yeah, it's probably not gonna see much play, it's just too weak. Undercity Valiant, combo deal 1 damage. Well, this is strong because backstab, prep something. Yeah, it's just another SI7 agent, a bit smaller though. Probably gonna see some play. It's a pretty solid card. It's just general value and tempo. Jesus, this fucking program. But yeah, it's pretty good. Nothing super exciting, nothing super bad. Seems like a decent card. Gonna see play. Yep, probably gonna see play. Buccaneer, whenever you equip a weapon, give it to me. So this Buccaneer is way better than the 2 mana that gives your weapon to 1+ attack. And the reason is it's 1 mana, so it's much more flexible. And it's a pirate, which makes it a ton better. And it's a good pirate for pirate decks. And it synergizes even better with just swarming your board. So the only problem now in pirate decks is you have no draw. And yeah, it's a good card. Good for pirate decks. Nothing more to say really. But yeah, like overall with Rogue, like I said earlier, it feels like they're just pushing all these weird kind of decks. They're not really going in any direction, they're just giving Rogue a ton of options. And that's kind of annoying because Rogue doesn't need a ton of options. Rogue already has like mills and shit. It just needs solid, like it just needs to go in one direction and like get cards for that direction, or go in 2 directions and get cards for those 2 directions. But with this expansion they gave Rogue like 3 ways of building the deck basically, and you can't make cards like that because if you make, like, it's just so hard to make enough good cards for all 3 directions. Like if they just cut like the 3 top cards and made these 3 top cards better mill cards instead, or they made them better pirates cards, then maybe we would see pirates or mill. But since they made these 3 top cards, we won't see that. So it's I don't like the design they did with Rogue this expansion. I really hate it. Let's look at Paladin again. Okay, so this is the class that I feel like my opinion matters more than others, I guess. It's really like weird to say it that way, but Paladin is like one of the classes that I have played a ton and done very, very well with, along with like Rogue, like Hunter maybe, and Warrior. Yeah, okay, but whatever. So I'm gonna do Rogue one more time because I didn't really do it fully. I just like went through it and was like, yeah, I can make this, I can make this. But, or I'm gonna do Paladin again, I mean. So I'm gonna start with Edict the Pure. So Edict the Pure is like basically control card. He doesn't work that well in mid-range, but the effect is super strong for control deck, so I would not be surprised if he sees play. Very strong card on its own. Neutralizing a whole board of enemy minions is super good. A lot of people, when they review this card, they think of the of the current meta, and they're like, oh, there's so many 1/1s, and oh, there's so many Shredders, and oh, you don't really want to do that in Aldor, but you need to like kind of think of what could be meta in the future as well, you know, because the effect is very strong, so the card is definitely not bad. It's just in the exact current meta, the card isn't very good. But if the meta changes, which is probably will be the case, then the card is good, you know. So overall, pretty solid card. Would be very confused if it sees no play in the future. It would have to be like massively underrated or overrated, and I don't really feel like that's the case. I don't feel like it's a chalk store basically. Yeah, good card. Next card. Enter the Colosseum. Destroy all minions except each player's highest attack minion. This effect would be super strong if it was reversed. The current way it works, it's only good against patrons. And if you have another way of killing the last patron. And yeah. If it worked the other way around, where it killed everything except for the lowest attack creature, then it would be good. But in its current state, I don't know how good it is. I need to play the card to know, because I don't know how many minions I'm gonna have on the board when I play this. And I don't know what I could do with Paladin when this card gets introduced, because now I have like more AoE, so maybe I can do something new. You know? Paladin will be insane. Yeah, of course. Building around one card sucks, especially when you play all the shitty Palace Secrets. They're not shitty. This isn't shitty. Competitive Spirit is super good. I'll do the reviews. I'll talk about that later. But I don't think Enter the Colosseum is gonna see much play. It's so bad that it has to be the highest attack minion. Like if they have Boom on board and a tons of small minions, it's gonna like leave Boom on the board. Like you don't want that. You want one of the Boom boss to survive, you know. Next card, Mysterious Challenger. Put one of each secret from your deck into the battlefield. So this just makes secret decks more consistent. The card is really strong for secret decks. It's like if you have 2 secrets in your deck, it's basically drawing 2 cards, playing those cards, and getting a 6/6 on the board. So it's scientist power level. But the only problem is Paladin secrets aren't the best in the game. Hunter and Mage secrets are broken if you get them from Mad Scientist, but Paladin secrets kind of isn't. But I mean, still, like drawing 2-3 cards with this and getting a 6/6 and playing the cards you drew is super strong, like really strong. So would not be surprised if this sees play. Honestly, I wouldn't. Mysterious Challenge is better than Mad Scientist. It's not better, but it's good. The thing is, Mad Scientist is just way lower curve, and you might have drawn your secrets when you play it, so it's not better than Mad Scientist, but it's pretty close. But it's not as overpowered as Mad Scientist because it's higher cost. Yeah, if it was Mage, this card would be a lot better, but I still think it's good. I think Paladin secret decks is gonna become a thing, and I can like talk about that later. Tuskar, yeah, the card is good. Let's move on. Tuskar Jouster, really mini deck. This is not a card that would be played in the same deck as the other cards in this expansion. It's one of the cards that will be played in like Control Paladin for sure. So it's good with Edric and maybe Enter the Colosseum, but that's it. I think Token Paladin will be way better than this deck, so I don't really feel like this card is gonna fit, but its card is very strong, so it's definitely gonna see play. It's just I don't know when. Strong card, but I don't know when it's gonna see play. Control Paladin might end up being good, and if Control Paladin ends up being good, then this card is gonna be very good. But I think Secret Paladin is just gonna be way stronger, honestly. I think Secret Paladin is gonna be pretty strong. Yeah, Mage card. Yeah, I'll put the review on YouTube later. But if that was a Mage card, like holy shit, it's so good. Yeah, it's better than Scientist, but it's a later game effect. That's the thing. And Scientist, the thing with Scientist, it's so early, you know. It's a really strong card. I'm not saying that, but I think Scientist is just better because it's early game. Value-wise, this is better value than Scientist in Paladin, but in general, it's not a better card than Scientist because Scientist costs less. And this is like, you need to have the cards in your deck, and you need to play a lot of Seekers to do that. So, like, generally the card is much stronger, but it costs more, of course. But Scientist costs less, so it comes down earlier and does more. But it's super strong. And next card, Murloc Knight. Yeah, I get that it's immediate, I know. I already looked at the card so many times. It's good, I know it's really good. I get the point. Secret Paladin is gonna be good, I agree with you. Of course it's gonna be good. Murloc Knight, Inspire, summon a random Murloc. So, this card is pretty good. Because you have the 3 mana drop, 2/2, that makes your hero power cost less. And you have a tons of like token mechanics. So what you do is you play like Quartermasters, you play like Murloc Knight, and then you play the 3 mana 2/2 guy that makes your hero power for free. And then you play maybe another Inspire mechanic. You play some competitive sprints, or whatever the fuck this card is called. Competitive Spirit. You have a bunch of token mechanics, Scientist for draws, Mysterious Challenger as a late game card. You fill your board in one turn with a bunch of tokens from Muster and from Murloc Knight. And your opponent needs to kill everything, because unless they get buffed. And you have Avenge, so if they start killing them, then it buffs other minions, and it's just gonna be a fucking nightmare, honestly, to play against. But I'm always gonna be playing the deck, so it's gonna be nice for me, right? Murloc Knight summons, like, and on average you're getting 2.5, I think, from Murlocs. I'm not sure. I did the math really quick, like in my head, and I think it's like 2.5 maybe. It's probably on like, someone's probably gonna post all the percentage of this, but I think you're getting 2.5 mana from this usually. That's a good deal. That's a really fucking good deal. Like, this card is super strong, honestly. Even if you play this on turn 6, you're not too depressed, because you're getting like a 1/1, 2.5 mana, and then a 4 mana minion, or a 3, or it's a 4 mana minion because of the Inspire effect. So yeah, I think the card is bonkers. Like, I think the new 3-drop made this card good, because if you didn't have the new 3-drop 2/2, then the card would be horrible. But when you have the new 3 mana 2/2, you can just do so much good shit with Paladin. Like, you can get like a 1/1, a 2.5 mana minion on average. You can get this, or you can play the hero power with Quartermaster on turn 5, and you can have like a 3/3 and a 2/5 for 5 mana, even though you're paying like in stats, but that doesn't really matter, because you're a token deck anyways. You don't really care about the stats, you just care about the synergies. Yeah, it's gonna be so good. You think Redemption finds its place? Yeah, I made a sketch of the deck, but I haven't tested it yet. Most Murlocs aren't strong on their own. That's kind of annoying, I know. But like I said, it's a token deck, so... It's a token deck, so you don't actually care how strong they are. You just care about having a billion minions on the board at the same time, you know? Because you have Avenge and you have Competitive Spirit, you know? If you didn't have Avenge and Competitive Spirit, it wouldn't matter. But since you have Avenge and Competitive Spirit, it's just like it buffs itself the whole turn. And if your opponent can't deal with your board, then you get a huge board. And if they kill one, the other one gets buffed. And if they play a minion, then Repentance like reduces it. And if they don't kill Murloc Knight, then it's gonna give you more minions. And yeah, I think it's, from seeing these cards, I'm very sure that this deck is just gonna be so incredibly strong, honestly. But I need to try all the cards to know what cards to play in it, but it seems very good. How can Competitive Spirit be popped? Well, if you have a lot of minions on board and then you're like, it pops if you have minions on board and it passes over to your turn, it pops by itself. You can just tell me that Ram Mangler is broken as fuck? Yeah, it is. It's broken as fuck. There you go. It for sure is. I already did the Hunter card reviews. And Ram Wangler is one of those cards that I hate playing. I'm probably never going to play Beast Hunter just because of that card. Because it's so RNG and so... I really hate that they had to introduce it, honestly. And they introduced even better beasts, so the card even gained more value. So now the card is like... It's like 6 mana minion for 5 mana most of the time. And then it can be even better. But then you have those times where it's bad, you know. But yeah, next card. Murloc Knight is really good with 3 mana, make your power cost less guy. Give a minion 3+ attack and Divine Shield. So... It's buff in 2, it costs 3. It's not going to see play. There's so many cards that cost 3 mana already in Paladin. After this expansion it is. Like, it's really good value because it's like 2 cards in 1, and that's generally pretty good. And the cards you're getting aren't actually bad cards either, but it's just not... I would rather play Blessing of Kings most of the time. I don't feel like it's a good card. Or I feel like it's a good card, it's good value, I just don't feel like it's gonna fit. I feel like Paladin just has better buffs. It's sort of weird giving them this card. It's like, why would you give them this card when they already have a better buff card that is more value for 4 mana? And it gets followed up after Muster. It's really weird. I'm not getting why Secret Paladin would be good. I'm gonna explain it later. So Warhorse, I already explained it once, but I can explain it again. Warhorse Trainer, 700 recruits at 1+ attack. This is basically just a worse competitive spirit most of the time. You're getting a minion, but you're not getting the secret value. And it costs 3 mana, which there are other cards that cost 3 mana, and it's only your 700 recruits. Not gonna see play. Quartermaster is better, competitive spirit is better. Moving on. Argent Lands, really mini each deck. Your first cost more because 1+ an ability. No. Why would I play this? Jesus. I have like Muster already, so I don't need a 2/3. And I don't need a 2/2 either. It doesn't kill 2/3s. I want to silence Mad Scientist. I want to play Minibot into Mad Scientist instead. There's just no room for it. Maybe one of. Maybe. I don't know. It's not good as a one of either. It's probably just not going to see any play. Just so many, like there's so many cards that are just better than this, you know? Way better than this. Next card, Competitive Spirit. When your turn starts, give your minions +1/+1. So this is the reason. Okay, so many people, I am very sure, will just say, oh, this is crap, you know? Because they don't think you're going to be able to, like... Yeah, I know. But the 3 legendaries, I don't feel like they're good anyways. Not anymore. After seeing the current cards. But basically what Competitive Spirit does is like it allows you to play a deck where you can just have a bunch of tokens on board and those tokens gain a lot of value. Because if you have Competitive Spirit and your opponent ever lets you have a board that is pretty strong, like not strong but a lot of minions, it just snowballs really hard, you know? It's like 1 mana, 1/1 for all your minions. And it's a secret. And it being a secret makes it 100 times better. and it's no mold mechanic for small decks, which is super strong. So imagine a deck where you're playing minions generally on curve, and you have a lot of snowball stuff like Murloc Knight and the hero power, etc., where you can get a lot of minions on board, and your opponent has to not only kill all your minions, or most of your minions, because if you have 3 minions in play and you have competitive spirit from Mad Scientist, it's so much value, you know. But they also have to kill Murloc Knight, for example, because it's gonna gain more value next turn. They also have to kill what is the other card? They also have to deal with some bigger minions like Mysterious Challenger, and they have to make sure to kill all the tokens. It's like, it's so much shit that they need to like keep in check. It can give you 0/0. It can't give you 0/0. It can give you, if there are no minions in play, it doesn't proc. So you need minions in play. Everyone already plays for board control versus Paladin because of 1/4 master. Yeah. But that's in the current Paladin list. In the current Paladin list, it's pretty easy to clear their board. And even in the current Paladin list, I'm playing 2 quartermasters, you know. So if you're playing a deck that just has more minions in the early game, like aggro for example, it's very hard to like clear the whole board of an aggro Paladin. It's super hard usually. And if you just have this from Scientist in play, it's like a constant threat where like your opponent is forced to deal with your board always, and every single time he doesn't do that, he just gets punished. And then, like I will explain later, you have Avenge in this deck as well, for sure. And Avenge makes it so if he kills one minion, if he kills your minion, then your next minion gets buffed. So, and you're getting them all from Scientist and like the other guy usually. And even if you're playing this for 1 mana, it's not too bad. So you're like getting a bunch of token mechanics, minions that if they trade in, it gets buffed. If they don't trade in, the whole board gets buffed. I mean, there's a lot of just auto-win scenarios here. And the reason why I think this deck is going to be strong is because I've played against Paladins that have played Avenge in the past. And Avenge is so hard to play around. Honestly, it is very, very hard to play around because if you trade into one, the other one gets buffed. So if your opponent ever has more than like 2 or 3 minutes on board, then yeah, it's a lot of synergy. And the only reason why Avenge hasn't been played is because like there just wasn't enough synergies with Avenge. And there wasn't a reason to play Avenge because Paladin just wasn't good either. And then when Paladin became good, it got different cards for different strategies. But now, when you're getting Mysterious Challenger, you can actually play them. And Secrets are good in the late game, Secrets are good in the early game because of Scientist. Playing it for 1 mana is not a huge tempo investment, and you can play it on turn 1. So it's just a lot of very auto-win scenarios. And a deck that can auto-win in certain scenarios is strong. Very strong. 2 Kazan, 2 MC tax. Oh yeah. Yeah. I really like this as well, that they're making Avenge better by introducing stuff like this. It's really the way they made this expansion is everything I wanted from the expansion. It's the way that I wanted them to make it, basically. I was just hoping they would make cards like they were like this, and they all made super duper nice cards. Like, ask Reynad. When Reynad does this review, like, anyone that has played Magic and knows the pants on your guy mechanic stuff, that's what Reynad called it, at least, like buffing minions. Because I heard him talk about something else, and he said basically the reason why he didn't play Magic was because all the buff decks was basically what everyone was playing, and that's sort of true. I guess he quit in like Affinity or something. Like, anyone that has seen Affinity knows how strong fucking like unkillable minion token buff strategies are, and this Paladin deck looks sort of like an affinity, or I can never say that word, deck. It looks sort of like that, and that's very scary. That's super scary, because Affinity was probably the most broken deck in Magic, I would assume. Pants in your guide mechanic? Yeah, buff mechanics. I didn't know the word. The only secret you want to play turn 1 is Avenge, right? Yeah, you would play this turn 1 as well, but it depends. Depends what your hand is, completely. But yeah, it looks very... I feel like Paladin is becoming Affinity, and it's not as strong yet because it doesn't have the death rattle thingies. But a few more of these type of cards, and we're gonna be looking at something like Affinity, and that's not something that I really want in the game, because that is gonna be broken as hell. And well, I don't like that. And I think the cards that they introduced now are okay. I think Token Paladin is okay at this point, but if they start introducing even more shit like Avenge, and shit that can transfer buffs to all your board and shit, then yeah, then I don't like it anymore. Snowball was super fast. You have won the game in first turn. Yeah, I know what you mean. But this is also Snowball, you know, because it snowballs. Like I just mentioned, it's not as strong as Affinity by any means, you know. But it's like, you. If you play Avenge and you play Competitive Spirit, you have shit that just buffs your board constantly. Avenge buffs if one gets killed, Competitive Spirit buffs it's anything doesn't get killed. Murloc Rider Knights and shit gives you buffs. Quartermaster, which might be played, gives you buffs. Mysterious Challenger gives you more secrets. Scientist gives you more secrets. Like, there's just a lot of mechanics that are very, very scary in my opinion. But it's not close to Affinity yet, of course. Oh yeah, Patron feeds on tokens, but the thing with Patron, which I have noticed a lot more when I played against it, is that Patron is very weak to decks that make a lot of minions in the early game. Patron is super weak to minions that just snowball crazy in the early game. And if they have a minion that they have to kill in the early game, then they usually don't want to do that because they want their death rattle effects from shit to go off, you know. Are you playing Scientist? Of course you're playing Scientist. What kind of question is that? Card is overpowered in Secret decks. Patrons can adapt. Yeah, I know. I know, fuck, patrons can adapt. But how can they adapt? Please don't say that, I didn't want adapting patrons. I hate it. I hate adapting patrons. But imagine like patron player playing Ghoul because they're like, oh, we're gonna kill Mustard next turn, and then you have Competitive Spirit in play, and then it's like it procs and it gives you 2/2s, and then you can trade him with your weapon, and then you get a bunch of damage ones, he can't deal with it. Next turn you play Quartermaster, and you get a bunch of 4/3s on board. I mean, there's a lot of these scenarios I feel like are very common with this deck. I feel like it's super strong, but yeah, enough talk about that. I can show you guys cards that I think will be played, but I don't know what kind of list it would play yet because I need to like try everything, and that's gonna take a while. Yeah, let's go for neutrals here. How do I get the neutrals? Premium, what? How do I... Let's try and why not just print replays on a text then? What? I don't think they're gonna nerf it. Then they're gonna wait a few months or they're gonna wait like a month and see how it works out. And they're gonna end up seeing that patron is still overpowered and they're just gonna nerf it. Because I don't think Shilma is enough to beat patrons, and it's like the only card they introduced as a counter, so like, yeah. Let's start with the neutrals. There are a lot of these. But yeah, I'm gonna put all this on YouTube, so if you guys don't want to watch the whole thing and you just want to like skip, just watch it on YouTube instead. But you can't ask me questions on YouTube, and here you can. And here you can discuss with me and other people. And I don't have a chat that moves fucking 50 messages a second like other streamers. So yeah. Ice Howl. Charge. Can't attack heroes. I thought this card was very good when I first saw it. I don't think it's as good now. I think I can still play it in Control Warrior, but I don't think it's... I think now there are better options. But yeah, it's like an infinite trade mechanic. Pretty strong. It's like Rag, where it's like a Rag, because Rag, when I play Rag in most of my decks, I usually just YOLO Rag and I'm like, yeah, please, 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 please hit this minion. I lose if you don't hit this minion. Please hit this minion, please. And then it misses and I lose the game. And this is like the same. Yeah, I mean, I play it for 1 more mana, I make it ram into something, and I don't need Rag anymore. I have a better sort of minion. Sort of. It's not completely strictly better, but it's like the same, you know? I have like a 10-10, it charges, it can't attack heroes. But the thing is, Rag can attack heroes, sort of, but it's so random that I really like this card a lot better. I like Ice Howl like 10 times better than I like Rag currently, in the current meta. But I don't know. Don't know if it's gonna see much play. It might. I'm definitely gonna try it myself. And if it's good, then I'm never gonna tell anyone. So they can just sit there and be like, oh, this card is so bad. But yeah. I don't know, I think it's okay, but I'm probably the only one that thinks it's good. Everyone else just thinks it's garbage. And I don't really care too much about explaining why I think it's super good, because people just, it's so hard to explain for me why I think it's good. And people just don't think the same way, so. We're gonna have to see when it comes out. Maybe it's good, and I'm like the only one that thinks it's good. But maybe it's bad, and I'm just the only one that thinks it's good. I don't know. Rag is a win condition though? Yeah, it is. I don't know, like, the way that, like I said, the way that I currently play Rag, and I don't play Rag in most of my decks anyways. Like, the way that I currently play Rag, I just play him and I want him to, like, YOLO a minion, and if it misses, I loses, but I don't know if that's even going to be the way I'm going to be playing Rag in the future if I play him. But I don't want to talk too much about this card, because last time I talked about this card, people were almost mad about me for saying it was good. So we're just going to have to see. I don't think it's as good as I first thought though. I thought it was way better, but now I think it's worse because other cards have come out. But yeah, next card, Note Sea Kraken. Battle cry, deal 4 damage. It's not much to say, it's just a card for beginners really. It's like if you want a big minion, then yeah. Tons of people already said this, I mean yeah. Not much to say, it's just there for beginners. There's nothing else to say, right? The card is crap. Like, in a set where you have all the cards like I do, it's not good. But in a set where you have limited cards, yes, I would probably recommend my friends that don't have much cards, which there are a lot of them that don't play this game very much and don't have that many cards, to play this card. Next card, captured Germonger. Captured your Germonger, whatever. Okay, so first off, the art is super cool, and I actually remember where the creature is from in WoW. Like I remember the creature really well, but it might be the wrong creature though. Now that I think about it, whatever. It's cool. It's super cool art. Doesn't really do much. It's a beast, so you can get it from Web Spinner and Ram Bangler, and that's probably just the only thing. It just makes Ram Wrangler better, and it really didn't need a buff, so that's a bad thing. It's not going to see play in normal deck lists other than getting it as a token, because if you play it in a deck list, you're wasting a space, which could be used for better cards, and there are for sure better cards in this expansion. A 5/9 for 7, it's not like, it's very good stats for a beast, it's just there are better cards to play. It might actually, one of, I don't know, it could be one of. I don't see it though, it's just too bad. But it's a pretty cool art and stuff. And I think I remember him from WoW. I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right one. But now that I think even more about it, I don't know. But next card, Chilmao. Taunt death rattle if you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions. It's a 6/6. So the card is very hard to review, because it's obviously meant as a patron counter. And as a patron counter, it works, sort of. But the thing that I've learned about patron is that patrons they don't win just by big boards. And a lot of times, I don't need, like, the way I lose is a lot of times on turn 5 against patrons. And this card doesn't help on turn 5. And even if I clear their board, they're just gonna have drawn a lot of cards if they play the deck right. So I don't think it's a good patron counter, honestly. I mean, it is a patron counter, it's just that the players that I played against, usually, if they're good players, they don't play all their patrons in one turn. They play all their patrons and draw cards in one turn. Or they, like, deal a lot of damage to my face. Or they do it on turn 5. And in all those scenarios, the card is bad. But in some cases, it's super good against patrons. But then they could just start attacking silence, and if they start attacking a silence, then the card does nothing, and then we're back to like square one. I honestly think it should have been. Jesus. Okay, one more time. I honestly think it should have been a battle cry, because it would be overpowered as a battle cry, probably, but it doesn't counter patrons good enough as it is. Because, like, yeah, you know, you play it on turn 7, they have a full board of patrons, they trade in some, and then you clear them, great. But then they deal a lot of damage to you in one turn with patrons, and you don't care, and you lose next turn to, like, burst again. They draw a lot of cards, you don't care, because they wanted to draw cards anyways, they didn't really care about their patrons. They just wanted you to waste your whole turn, playing a minion that has to, like, kill them. And if you have like a huge board of patrons, then you might just be dead with this card, because your opponent can play Frothing, and then he deals damage to all the patrons, and then he buffs it and kills you. And if they start attacking silence, then the card is horrible, so I don't have much hopes for this card. I really don't. I don't feel like it's that good. It's a dragon though. Adequate to kind of a taunt warrior archetype? Yeah, I think that as well. Like, Chilma is sort of Like, it's very... It's very... Okay, the minion is good. It's just... It's only good in certain scenarios, and I don't know if a minion like that seems like it's gonna be good. I wish it would be good. I really do, because I really don't want to play against patrons so much. But I don't feel like it's gonna make patrons go away. But as a standalone, if I don't think about patrons, if you think about other decks, then it's a good minion. Because in other decks, they have to trade 2 minions in, and you're probably killing something. And if they're trading big minions, then you're dealing damage to their minions. You need to hold a dragon, but it also works to bluff. So it's a good card. It's just not. I was hoping it would be a counter to patron, but when I've like thought about it for a long time, it doesn't seem like a good counter to patrons like at all. You could imagine something like this being good. Let's look at this. What? There's only an Elder Peacekeeper in here. Yeah, it's a good card. What? Yeah, Elder Peacekeeper is a good card. I don't know. I'll show you guys later. Okay. But yeah, next card. Sky Captain Crag. Well, the card is good. It's like costs 1 less for your pirates. I've talked about this card a lot before because I've already done this review like 3 times, so I'm just gonna do it really fast. Pirate decks are one of those decks where if you have a lot of minions on the board, you don't like win the game, usually. Because the pirate minions are very small, very fragile, very bad. So you're probably gonna have a lot of them on the board and you're not gonna be winning. And Sky Captain... Wait, did I just click on something that was not meant to happen? And Sky Captain Krog is very good if you get to play him for 5 or 4 mana. If you get to play him for 4 mana, he's busted. If you play him for 5 mana, he's good. So if you consistently get him for 5 and 4 mana, then he's very good. And then the question is, do pirates need this card? And having a big charge dude in your pirate deck is actually not very bad. So I think pirates need this card. It's a very good card. But is pirates gonna be a good deck? I don't know. Probably gonna make some pirate decks, but I don't know if it's good. I don't know, guys, but it looks cool. Looks like it's gonna be played, but I don't know how much. What? Si Madeleine. What? Okay. Need to copy paste his whole text. What? What is going on now? I'm not reading all the chat. New 2 pirate from Rogue is very good. Yeah, the new 2 pirate from Rogue is very good. But it's not a pirate itself. Like when the expansion comes out, I don't want to make decks on Heartpound because making decks on Heartpound is just so annoying. Because I can't actually see the cards, I feel like. But when it comes out, I'm gonna make all these crazy decks and try all this crazy shit. And yeah, like I can see all the archetypes generally and how I think they're gonna look like, but I can't find an optimal list, sort of. And some of the cards I'm not sure about either. I need to try them. I can't just look at them and be like, yeah, this card is good. Like even cards like some of them, of course, you can look at them and be like they're good, but a lot of them that they introduced are very like situational, and I have to see them work. Like even if I know a card mechanic works in another game, like in another TCG or CCG, I still don't know if it's gonna be like good in Hearthstone, because Hearthstone has completely different mechanics. So yeah. The guy who posted a deck link, you need to select all decks and copy paste this. I'm very confused. It's still only an Aldor. What happened? Oh, I get it. You need to... Oh, okay, well, I get it. Oh, I get it, okay. Yeah. Next card, Both Ram Shield. Whenever your hero takes damage, this minion takes damage, takes it instead. I'm not very impressed with this card. It's like a good counter to combo druid, but at the same time it's not. Don't think it's a good card. Like if your opponent wants to hurt this minion, they can use their hunter hero power and hurt it if they're playing control. So against control it's completely useless most of the time. Against aggro, sure it's good, but I would just heal instead. But it might see play. It might see play because it's an anti-aggro effect, and anti-aggro effects have shown in the past like brief history of Hearthstone to be very good. Anti-Healbot, for example, Earthring Farseers are being played in some decks, etc, etc. Belchers. So you might see him being played, but I feel like he isn't good enough. I feel like he's just like a healing effect with a body, but maybe I need to try him first to see. He might be better than that. And doesn't even lose stage free. I mean, doesn't. Yeah, it's like worst taunt. Good or Shaman Legendary. I talked about the Shaman Legendary. I don't think it's that good. And you can see my reasoning and just like go back in time when I'm done doing the reviews to see what I thought about it. But I don't think it's that good. I feel like it's not. It's too slow and shit. And even getting a 1/1 buff isn't that good on many minions. Like you're giving big game on your targets, for example. And you need to draw it in the early game. I'm not going to talk too much about it. I talked about it way too much. Yeah, Grand Crusader. Battle cry, add a random paladin card to your hand. So, many people I feel like are very undervaluing cards like this because it doesn't have a shiny effect. And a lot of people are comparing this to card draw, which I don't think it's card draw, because if you're playing card draw, the card that you are drawing has to be in your deck, so you have to find space and room in your deck to play the card. And this doesn't do that. And for many classes, getting a random paladin card is very good. Like for Priest, I mentioned this earlier. If you play Priest and you get a paladin card, if you get Humility, Aldor, Equality, Consecrate, Tyrion, Edric, etc. All of those are very good for Priests. And they're very good for Control Warrior, they're very good for Druids usually. Like there are a lot of classes that benefits more from some of the Paladin cards than what Paladin does. But I don't really know if it's gonna see play yet, but it's definitely better than drawing a card. Oh yeah, in Priest, both, that's true, very true. In Priest, it's very good, that both card. I just realized as well. Because of all the buffs and the high life totals and circle of healing and stuff. That's true, very true. In Priest, the card is actually pretty good. Maybe I should play both in Priest. But yeah, back to Grand Crusader. Like in Priest, Grand Crusader seems better. Some of the classes just benefits more from Paladin cards than Paladin does, like I said. And what people don't understand, I feel like, is that adding a card to your hand is so much better than drawing a card. And not because you're playing to fatigue, but because you don't need to find room in your deck to play that card. Right? That's super hard to explain. I already tried a few times. But it's like you can play cards that are just... You can play cards that are basically better. No, that doesn't make any sense. I can't explain it, but like you have more room when you have this. Drawing a card, it's just like you can draw into one of your combo pieces and stuff, and then yeah, you get the point. But I think this card is very undervalued. I think it's actually a pretty good card, Grand Crusader. But I don't really... I need to try it. But I feel like it's very good because the stats are very solid. Getting out of the card is very good, better than drawing a card in my opinion. So yeah. Next card. Just a card, True Heart, the chick riding a horse thing. Battle Cry, replace your starting hero power with a better one. This is not very good. Card is pretty much garbage. Like, in the show match they did, the card was actually pretty good. But it's just not... Like, Grand Crusader is better, for example. It's not enough value. Your hero power doesn't generate that much value. Your hero powers are pretty bad usually, using hero powers. And getting a stronger hero power in exchange for 6/3 body is bad. Like, even just to gain the mana that you lost from this card, not calculating like tempo or how bad your hero power is, you're gonna have to hero power 2 more times. And if you take into account the tempo loss you're getting from playing a 6/3 and like how bad it trades, then the card is just garbage. It's not gonna see much play, I feel. Maybe in decks that like has some kind of super hero power synergy, but I don't feel like that's gonna be a thing with this expansion. Maybe in the future, probably not. But it's a cool card, but it's not good by any means. Next card, Kodo Rider. So you're saying Crusader would be worse if the battle card read to draw a card? No, it wouldn't be worse. I'm saying in the decks it would be played in, it would be worse. Because the card, like if it said draw a card, it would be played in different decks basically. When it says add a random piling card to your hand, it's a different mechanic. It works differently mechanic wise, and it works differently in what cards you would want for your deck. Because like Warrior, for example, Warrior has no way of playing cards like Muster, Humility, Aldor, etc, you know? And they don't have any more space for late game either in their deck. So if you're getting a late game card from this, then you're getting like another late game card, and you're playing like, you can play more early game in your actual card slots, if that makes sense. It's so hard to explain. I don't know if I want to explain it. Just the cards nuts in Warrior. I don't know if the armor is worth that much. It might, like the only deck that I might think it might, that was a lot of mights, but the one deck that I think it could see play in, Justicar, is Control Warrior. But I don't feel like it's good in Control Warrior. It might be, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think it is. If it is, then I'm very wrong, but I don't know. I don't feel like it's good at all. Next card, Kodo Rider. Inspire, summon a 3/5 ward to Kodo. So I overvalued this card a tiny bit when I first did the review of this card because there wasn't that many other cards released. But I still think the card is good. Despite what everyone else says, about this card being good, I still think it's good because it does not die to AoE. It creates a target that I have to kill. It's good with stuff like Argus. It's good with stuff like the taunt mechanic shit for Druid or for Warrior. It trades better into more minions against aggro and mid-range decks. And in the decks you're going to be playing this, you're going to have removal for their big stuff, so the small stuffs are pretty much going to be your problem. It's better with Flame Tongues and shit, like it's, yeah. And you can actually play it on turn 6, then you have to kill it a lot of times. If you're playing against a mage and you like play this on turn 6 and they have no board, and like the board is just clear, and that happens a lot of times actually. You might not think it does, but it actually does. And you play this, then they have to fireball it, and they have to like give up all their tempo that one turn to fireball, then you can play another minion next turn. And if you're playing, and in the game there are other 6-drops as well. Like, you can compare it to Sylvanas. But with this card, you can either choose to play it on 6 mana, it has to be removed. Or you can play it on 8 mana and you get the free value and the hero power. But I kind of overvalued it at the start. Like I said, I thought it was amazing, but now that I've seen all the cards, I think it's good, but I don't think it's as good as I used to think it was. I think Shaman can have a lot of use of this, because Shaman is like the one that benefits the most from a lot of minions on board. So if you play this and you hero power on turn 8, you're getting like a totem, which is okay. You're getting 2 minions, which you can Argus or Flame Tongue. And your hero power can have value with other stuff in the game as well, like, I don't want to say it, but Totemic Might, for example. Totemic Might probably isn't going to see play, but yeah. This card would be really good if it was a 5/5. If just the card was a 5/5, he would be way better. And I think in Shaman, this is more like an 8-drop than a 6-drop. I think it's more like you hero power on turn 8 to get a... Like, if you think of it this way, you're playing an 8-drop that gives you a totem, 2 3/5s, whereas one of them will give you more 3/5s. That's pretty hard to deal with. And if you're playing against something like Shaman, which Shaman is a class that benefits highly from having minions on the board and even totems. Like, people, when they play against Shaman, try and always clear all the totems, because if Shaman gets ahead with totems, it's much easier for him to win. So like, if you look at it as an 8-drop that gives you a 3/5, another 3/5, and one of them makes more 3/5s, and you also get a totem, then it's very good. Then I would rather play this over Ragnaros. That might sound weird, but I would, because it's not weak to Biggie Muncher. And it's split value. Yeah, but it's not the same card as Emperor at all. It's more of a getting more board kind of card. Emperor is like it's like a combo card. I think it's very important to like this something like I think it's very important to like, oh, for fuck's sake, to differentiate, maybe the word is, like an 8-drop or Emperor and Color Rider, because they're completely different mechanic wise. They play it in different kind of decks. I would never play Emperor in Shaman, for example. I would never play Emperor in any deck that has less than 4 cards in their hand at all time. And any deck that doesn't really need the combos, I would also not play him. And in all those decks, I think Color Rider is gonna see play. That the decks that don't want to play Emperor, I think Color Rider might see. Will see. Let's say will see on this one. Let it play. But I also think Grand Crusader is good, so I don't know. But Color Rider isn't really a 6-drop though, it's like an 8-drop. And what good 8-drops do we have at the moment? We have Sneeds. Sneeds dies to like Sylvanas, not good against Sylvanas. It's only good for a few decks. Color Rider gives you like more immediate board, gives you like more minions. And it also gives you hero power value and stuff, so yeah, the card is very good, Color Rider. I don't know why everyone thinks it's so bad, I think it's really good. I heard many people that thinks it's good as well, but I heard a lot of streamers specifically that were like, oh, this card is garbage, never gonna see play. But I think it's very good. So yeah. It might just be me though. Next card. I think some of these I'm just gonna skip, kind of, because some of them aren't really interesting at all. Like Master Jouster, really minion in each deck. If yours cost more, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. So somewhat like the Clash mechanic from Magic, which someone told me about. I didn't actually know that was a mechanic, but it's very similar to that mechanic. And you basically need a minion to be good on its own. If the mechanic doesn't, like if the Joust doesn't, if it doesn't win the Joust, you need it to be playable. And a 5/6 for 6 isn't playable without the Joust effect. You're missing a whole mana in stats, which is huge. Like, you might feel like, oh, a whole mana in stats, that's not too big, but I mean, when cards like Shady Dealer looks insane, and it's only 1 mana better than what a 3 mana drop is. When cards like that look insane, that's when you know how much 1 mana it's actually worth. and like tempo wise minions. Distinguish, differentiate, yeah. Those are the words. But yeah, I don't think Master Jouster is very good. I think it's just like, yeah, it's too inconsistent. Like if you play it without the effect, it's just not good enough. So, and it's inconsistent, so it's not gonna get the effect always, so not very good. Next card, Mogre's Champion. Yes, that is a card. Next card, Sideshow Spell Eater. Copy your opponent's hero power. 6 mana, 6/5. It's a very cool card, but I don't know how good it is. Like, so it's a 5 mana card that makes your hero power something else. So if you're playing against something that has a good hero power, then you're getting the good hero power. So, but then you need to build your whole deck around your hero power anyways. It's really bad. Like I said, you're losing a whole stat in, like you're using, Jesus, you're losing a whole mana in stats, and then you're getting like a better hero power in some cases, and in some cases you're getting probably a worse hero power. And you already have your whole deck built around your hero power anyways, because you're not always going to draw this card. So yeah, it's just bad. It's probably not going to see much play. I mean, it's like gimmicky, so maybe someone makes it work. Probably not. Techie made for one. Yeah. Joust is like you said, Donnie, it's like if there's a ton of aggro, everything is just aggro. Master Jouster is like better, but it's just inconsistent, I feel like. And in Magic, like with Clash, someone mentioned that with Clash, which is generally the rule I'm trying to go with when I'm reviewing these cards, is that with Clash in Magic, the card needed to be good on its own without getting the effect. So yeah, and this card isn't good on its own, so it's not that good. Skeleton Knight. It's another boring effect because it's like, it's very good against control decks, but against control decks you're gonna lose the Joust like 50% of the time. The mechanic is super strong, but it's just not consistent. So yeah, it's probably not gonna see play, but I don't know. I don't want to say it's not going to see play because of the mechanic. The mechanic is so strong that like miracles might happen, but like how it looks at the moment, it's not going to see play. Next card. Isn't Druid the best class to play? Just because of the combo potential? It depends completely. It's very hard to set a general rule for what's better in control metas, but maybe Druid is a tiny bit better than the other classes in control metas. Clockwork Knight, give a friendly min mech 1/1. So the biggest synergy with this is making Shredder trade into Belchers, which happens a lot. And there's a lot of games where I'm like, please, why did you play Belcher? Now you just ruined all my tempo with Shredder, and now I can't really trade. And if I had this card on those games, I'd probably win. So mech decks that play Shredder and in a Belcher prominent meta, which probably Belcher would always be played, then this card is very good. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, it's good. Probably a 1 or 2 of in mech decks. Makes your Shredder trade upwards, and it's basically all there is. That's a very good. It doesn't look too flashy, but it's very good. Like Shredders trade with Belchers now, and then they go 2 for 1. Sort of. Yeah, they go 2 for 1. Not just sort of, they do go 2 for 1. It only loses half a stat to gain this effect, which is like very, 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 very good. Quality Raider, Inspire again 2/2. I saw someone mention in chat before I reviewed this, this will be good in Arena, and yes. Holy shit, this is gonna be good in the arena. But in constructed, no, never. Floating Watcher is not team play. Don't see how a 6/6 for 7 mana technically would see play. Yeah, it's not gonna see play. Mookless Champion. Inspire, give your other minions 1/1, 4/3. So the card became better because there was the 0 mana card that that makes your hero power for free. So I think the card is actually better now. I think it might in the token paladin deck that I'm gonna be trying. That I'm gonna try and make. I think this card could actually see play. That's very weird to say because when I first looked at this, I was like, shit, this is bad. But it seems way better. It's like if I play a lot of min tokens and I get my hero power for free, which this is a scenario that I don't know how consistent this will be with mulligans and everything. I don't know how many times I will get to like make this happen with a deck. But if I can make my hero power cost 0 with the card, then I can play this on turn 5, have some minions on board and give them 1/1. Then it's very strong. But how likely will this be to happen, and how many of these will I need in my deck? Will I just play other cards that have better Inspire effects? I don't know. But I feel like it's good in a token build with the other like token paladin. It might be one of in that deck. It's very weird saying that because the card just seemed so bad when I first saw it. Recruiter OP. Yeah. Squire, it's envy. Next is Champion Sarad. Inspire, add a random spell to your hand. There are so many bad spells in the game. And it's slow. It costs like if you play this with 0 mana hero power on turn 5, it doesn't give you any tempo because the spell you're getting you still need to cast, and you might get a really bad spell. I don't feel like it's worth it. I feel like Mookless Champion is better than this. Very, very weird saying that, but I think it for sure is a better card. I think Mookless Champion for sure is a better card than Nexus Champion Sarad. Or not in a vacuum where you haven't seen the other cards. But when I've seen the other cards, I think the Mookless Champion is better. Just because it dies so easily, you can, and if you get only one Inspire out of it, it's worse. Yeah. Critter is horrible. I'm gonna come and talk about that card in a second. Pit Fighter, 5/6 for 5, never gonna see play for sure, of course. It's like a card for beginners. Vanilla stats. Cards are just getting better. Next card. Recruiter. Inspire, add a 2/2 Squire to your hand. It's not very good either. It's good in control games, but in control games there are better cards you could be playing. So I don't think it's gonna see play. It's like, doesn't do anything for boards, it's not tempo, it's very, very slow, and you could just play cards that cost 7 mana instead of playing 5 mana 5/4. Inspire got better, but I think the Inspire cards that got better are cards that do something to your board. I think the Inspire cards that are still gonna be bad are stuff that just adds shit to your hand or like restores HP basically. Armored Warhorse. Battle Cry, reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, gain charge. If there's a ton of aggro, sure, but then if you're playing this, you're going to be playing lower curve stuff. I'm going to say this card is very bad. Never going to see play much, or never going to see much play. Might be wrong, probably not. Bad card, moving on. Crowd favorite. Whenever you play a card with Battle Cry, gain 1/1. Well, If you play a lot of battle cries in your deck, then you might be able to get this up to a 6/6 on turn 6. And if they haven't killed it by then it just keeps growing. But if they kill it on the turn where it gets played, which is True Silver, Death Spite, Swipe, etc., Shredders trades into this, then it's just bad. So very easy to kill. I don't think it's going to see much play. I might actually be wrong about this one, I feel, but yeah, there's no way it's going to see play. Crowd favorite is bad. Moving on. A lot of these cards I just don't really want to talk too much about because they're not too interesting. Like, some of them are just bad, you know, and then I just skip them. Evil Heckler. So this is 4 mana, put away bodyguard. Does that make it enough, or does that make it good enough to see play? Maybe. Maybe it's better than Shenzhen because it trades better with Belchers, but it dies to Shredder. And the only reason Senjin might have been played in the current meta is because of Shredder, so don't think it's gonna see much play. Pretty vanilla card. Not very exciting. Moving on. Frigid Snowball. Or one thing to mention though is it trades into Belcher, like I said. That is the only reason why I think Evil Heckler might see play. Next card. Frigid Snowballs. So super cool art and stuff. 2/6 with spell damage. No, it's not going to see play because 2/6 is bad stats. That is basically the only reason. And there are better 4-drops. Moving on. Gormark the Impaler. Battlecry. If you have at least 4 minions, for other minions, deal 4 damage. I don't really know how to review this card because it might be a win more card, but I'm not sure. Almost OP is Undertaker. Sure. Yeah, Gormuk. I don't know how to review him. I need to know how many cards I will usually have in play. He's very good with stuff like Haunted Creeper, but I don't know how often that's gonna happen. Effect is super strong. He's gonna see play, it's just I don't know how much. He's very strong, effect-wise. But it's very hard to judge because I know I need to to judge this card properly, I would have to do 30 games where I played a class that I thought it could be good in and then seen how many minions I had on board, you know. I don't want to do that. Yeah, it's probably going to see play. Gormak is pretty strong. And then where it's going to see play, it's probably going to see play in Su, Shaman. Decks that wants to run Hornet Creeper is probably going to want to run the card if they're not too slow or fast. Yeah, I don't know if Gormak is win more or not. It might be just a win more, but I don't know. I need to try the card. Okay, next card. Maiden of the Lake. 2 mana or 4 mana, 2/6. Hero power cost 1. Super bad card, honestly. Making your hero power cost 1 is just pointless when you have a card that makes it cost 0. Huge tempo investment for 4 mana. If it gets killed, you don't get the value with Inspire. I can see myself maybe... No, it's not going to see much play. It's not going to see much play. It's just too bad stat-wise. And the effect is not even that good if it gets pulled off. So Maiden of the Lake is probably not going to see much play. It's just... Yeah, it's too weak. It has a lot of health. Oh, Jesus. It has a lot of health, but it doesn't trade well at all. Yeah, the Maginator or whatever is bad. For sure, the alpha thing is for sure bad. I talked about that earlier. Refreshment Window, restore 4 health to each hero. So this is actually strong, I think. It's against aggro decks, this is very good. It trades with Shredder, and yeah, in the current meta I would play this for sure. It's weird, but I would, as a 4-drop. It's like if the meta is very, very fast, then restoring 4 health is good. Like restoring 4 health and only paying half a mana in stats is good. So if the meta is like super fast like it is now, then I would play this, but don't think it's a great card. I don't think it's gonna see a lot of play, but it's like a tech for metas, which I really appreciate them making these cards, because tech cards I really like for ladder, or I like tech cards that don't really like I like cards that I can put in my deck if I see a certain trend in metas. Basically. Okay, but a high price for this card. Every deck? I don't think it's gonna be played in every deck. I think I think Refreshment Vendor is a good card. But oh, in aggro metas. Yeah, that makes sense. In aggro metas, yeah, I agree with him there. But I don't think it's a very good card on its own. And it needs to be like a very aggro meta for this to see play. But in a meta like this, like the current meta with a lot of aggro, I would play this. So yeah, it's a much better tournament medic basically. Yeah, tournament medic, Inspire Soldier. So I don't have much to say about this card. I think Marion might say something about this because you play Inner Fire Priest, but I don't know. It's good in Inner Fire Priest. I can't see anything else really. But yeah, in anything but Inner Fire Priest, it's just bad. But in Inner Fire Priest, maybe. I don't really know much about Inner Fire Priest, so I'm not gonna say it that much. You like tech cards that aren't known Kessan? Yeah, I like tech cards that only suffer half a stat basically and have good adjusted stats. It's not good in Inner Fire Priest. Okay, well we know. It's not good in Inner Fire Priest. Moving on. Tournament Medic is then bad. Twilight Guardian. This card is super good, right? This card is amazing. So Blizzard heard us. They heard that none of the dragons had taunt. None of them were good against aggro. They heard it. So they made this card. This card is great. Like, it's fucking super good. 3/6 with taunt for 4 is really good. The fact that it's a dragon makes it way better. It is the exact card that I wanted from this expansion. I was actually thinking of something very similar for the more 4 mana slots, and they made this. And I'm so happy they made this card. If all my dragon decks that I now had like all my dragon decks that I now had that I now was not able to play are now playable, and that's super good. And it's so good that it's a dragon on its own. If it wasn't a dragon on its own, it would be super bad, but since it's a dragon on its own, it's so good. I really like the sign of Twilight Guardian. So yeah, like you might think, oh well, Senjin for example is like 3/5 and that's like the same stat wise, but a 3/6, 1 more health is so much better, trust me. Because that 1 health means it doesn't die to Loatheb, it doesn't die to True Silver and a token, it doesn't die to Shredder and True Silver hit, or Muster hit token sword. There's so many things it doesn't die to anymore. And it just makes the card so much better than Senjin in every single way. I'm gonna play this in every single one of my Dragon Priest decks. It's much better than Hungry Dragon and stuff, which was the other 4-drop for Dragon decks, which kind of was shitty. So Twilight Guardian will see play always. There's no way it's not gonna see play. It's such a good card, and I'm so happy they made this. This solves all my problems with deck building basically. It was exactly what I was asking for with Dragon decks. Moving on, Twilight Guardian, great card. Moving on, here's a bunch of class specifics. Argent Horse Rider, Divine Shield, charge 2/1. Many people have said this card is bad. I don't think it's bad, because it trades into Mad Scientist and Juggler. And it trades into Sorcerer's Apprentice as well. And it survives, so it goes 2 for 1. And any card that goes 2 for 1 is good in my book. So if this card can go 2 for 1 with like 50% of the 2-drops that are being played in the game, or even more, no, 50% of the 2-drops in the game, and like almost 100% of the 2-drops that are being played in the game currently, like in play, then it's very good. So I think he's gonna see a lot of play, honestly. The only problem that I have with this is that it's 3 mana, because Fenching Coach is also 3 mana, and Fenching Coach is a much better card in my opinion for the decks that you might see Argent Horse Rider in. But I think Argent Horse Rider is a very good card for aggro metas. It trades very well with jugglers and scientists. And when it trades into scientists, it still survives. They have to ping it, it goes 2 for 1. If they don't have any ping tools, then it's gonna ram into their secret, gonna proc the secret. If it's freezing trap, it's great. You know, I like this card. Yeah, Blessing of Might on this guy is crazy. He's for sure a good card, Argent Horse Rider. But I've seen some people that are like, Blessing of Kings, Argent Horse Rider, and that's not gonna happen. That's way too high cost. You would rather just Blessing Argent Squires or the charge guy for 1 mana. Not Boar, but the other one. For sure a good card. I don't really see why people think this card is bad. It's for sure a good card. It's like, it just trades so much better with everything that I've seen in the game so far. If the 2-drops somehow change, like if there are being played different kind of 2-drops and decks function in a different way, then I don't think it's gonna see play. But in the current functioning meta, like how the meta currently functions or works or whatever, then it's very good. Moving on. Colosseum Manager. Inspire return this menu into your hand. This is garbage. I can't really say anything else. I can see uses for it, but all the uses that I can see for it is just so gimmicky. And decks where this can fit in is just also so gimmicky that I don't see it seeing any play at all. Yeah, sometimes the bubble will not matter much for tempo. If it survives the Argent Horse Rider and you buff it again, then it's good. But I mean, people were saying like 7 mana Blessing of Kings plus Argent Horse Rider. That is like, that is kind of too high cost. It trades well, but it's just, yeah. The stats are just not better than Spider Tank. Which card? I don't know what card you guys are talking about, but Colosseum Manager is bad. And if like Spider Tanks and shit didn't, like Spider Tank didn't see play, the Druid card, which was a 2/5 and a 5/2 didn't see play. So a 2/5 with downside or a slight upside is probably not going to see play either. It needs to be way stronger. Next card. Dragonhawk Rider, same as the other card. It's a 3/3 for 3, which is worse than Spider Tank. It's not going to see play because you would rather just play a minion that has the Wind Fury effect, and Talmar Farseer, for example, has the Wind Fury effect, but it's a 2/3. This is a 3/3, but you need to use your hero power, so you're wasting mana if you're going for OTK combo, and you need it to stick to the board. Not a great card. But I mean, it could trade into 2 minions if you use your hero power, so it's sort of value, but it needs to stick to the board, and it's a 3/3. So yeah, I'm not too I don't really think this card is going to see play, like not too excited for the card. Dragonhawk Rider is just, yeah, it's just bad. It's not going to see much play. Next card. And I've done all the class cards, by the way, earlier, guys, for all you guys that like want to see those or want to hear my opinion on those. So I've done Dreadscale, for example. Next card. It is Darkbane. Whenever you target this minion with a spell, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. So when I first saw this card, I thought it was insane. Now that I had some time to think about it, I don't think it's insane anymore. I think the other sister is actually better in the decks that you would play this. Yeah, it's like Arch Slager. Yeah, it's but stat wise, but it's better sorted. Yeah, Edith's Darkbane, it's the problem that I see with her is that it's random. And in the decks where buff spells are good, you generally only play like Blessing of Kings and one mana spell. So, and in those decks, she's way too high cost. Because then you want to play tokens instead. So I don't think she's gonna Jesus. I don't think she's... one more time. I don't think she is gonna see much play. But, the effect is pretty strong, but it's random. So, yeah. I actually think the other sister is better because the decks that you're gonna use her in is just gonna be better. Like, if you're gonna get value from Edith's Darkbane, you need to play like 2 buffs in the same turn. And if you're doing that, then you're wasting 2 slots on 2 bad buffs with Paladin, for example. And if you play this against the Shredder and you buff it with Blessing of Kings, then the 3 damage might miss. And if the 3 damage misses, then it's just a worse Fiola Lightbane. And generally you would like to trade into Shredder anyways with this, so the Light Shield or the Divine Shield is just better, I think. Not how... In Priest, yeah, but I mean, imagine Priest. Okay, so what buff spells does Priest have? I mean, Priest has 1 card that costs 1 mana. So if you play that once, you're dealing 3 damage. So what? Like, Priest is more focused about clearing big minions with 1 spell and clearing many minions with Orcanine Soul Pierce and Light Bomb. So having something that is in between doesn't fit at all. There's nothing that this basically deals with that the other cards doesn't deal with. And it only has synergy with 1 card. It doesn't have much synergy with Valence because Valence is it's too high cost. And you're going to be using Power Word Shield on other creatures as well, so it's just not very good. Inner Fire deck. Oh yeah, in Inner Fire decks, yeah, it seems better. But it's like you want to use them for OTK, but I don't know. I don't think they're that good. I mean, it's really nice that we have different opinions, of course. It's extremely good that people have different opinions about these cards. We're obviously going to see what they turn out to be when the expansion is released. I don't think she's that good though. But I'm thinking from my Paladin list, basically. Because that's the only deck that I have a lot of buffs, or that I have 1 buff in that I know how to use. But yeah, next card. Fencing coach? I don't know, he's like a Chinese elf or something. Battle Cry, the next time you use your hero power, it costs 2 less. This card is very good, I think. And I think it's maybe a bit underpowered. If it was a 3-2, it might have been better. If it was a 2-3, it's overpowered, so I'm glad it's not a 2-3. But since it's a 2-2, it's kind of like you would only play it in decks where you have insane synergy with the card. But yeah, so you only want to play them where like you can play Fencing Coach into like Murloc Knight on turn 4 and get a lot of value. You only basically want to play this card in decks where you have a lot of synergy with your hero power, and in decks where your hero power actually is good. And the only deck that I can think of where your hero power is actually very good is like Handlock. And you probably wouldn't play this in Handlock. And then it's like Token Paladin. And in Token Paladin, this card is amazing. It's like the only deck where I feel like this card is just insane, you know? Yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of Fencing Coach, but only in decks that are very focused around him. We're probably not gonna see him in like decks that just hero powers a lot. Only decks that uses their hero power to gain tempo early, we're gonna see him in. Not some like crazy late game combo inspire shit. Doesn't seem very likely. Fiola Lightbane is the next card. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of Fencing Coach in some decks, but only specific decks. Fiola Lightbane. Whenever you target this minion with a spell, gain Divine Shield. I think this is better than the other one, because the way that I use Blessing of Kings in my Paladin list is that I trade into a big minion. And I generally don't use Blessing of Kings when there's a lot of small minions. When there's a lot of small minions, I use Consecrate, I use Muster, I use AoE basically. And dealing 3 damage doesn't really help me clear a bigger threat, usually. The Divine Shield makes it able to trade into Druid Claw and survive. It makes it able to trade into a Dr. Boom and survive. Like, think about that, guys. It trades into Dr. Boom. That's crazy, huh? And it survives. It survives, right? That's crazy, in my opinion. It trades into Ancient of Lores, it trades into Tyrion, trades into, what else? Belchers, Lothebs, without taking damage. And in all those cases that I just listed, this card is much better than the other legendary. Because you don't need the 3 damage. Like, dealing 3 damage doesn't matter because you're gonna ram your creature into the other creature anyways. And if there are more than 2 creatures on board and you want to hit one of them, then it's like a 33% chance that you're hitting the right creature. That's still not good. Fencing coach. But yeah, I think Fiora is much better than her sister. In the decks that I'm going to use her in. I don't know about stuff like Interplay Fire Priest because I haven't played it, but in Paladin this card is much better, for sure, that I can tell you. That is like the only class, Paladin is like the only class where I feel like I know better, you know? I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna play her in Paladin, mid-range. If you buff this with like Blessing of Kings, like I mentioned, all the scenarios, she's just better than her sister. And she's amazing in all those scenarios. She's like a mini-bot. But she doesn't, like in all those scenarios, she's the same as a mini-bot, but she doesn't get minus in stats. She's very good. So I think Fiora will be seen more than her sister. People are probably going to disagree like shit about me, or about that, but I think so. I'm not going to have to see. In my opinion, and the decks that I'm going to be playing, she's for sure going to be better. Moving on. Ice Rager! Yes, they made this card. They actually did. This is one of the biggest trolls that I have seen. Yeah, they actually made this card, and it's super good. Cool that they made this card. It's not a good card, and it's not power creep. People are saying it's power creep, but like, Magma Rager never saw any play anyways. So why would they not print a better card that is the same? And in Arena, this card, and in Arena, and in stuff like Arena, Magma Ranger is still valid because you might get something that is worse than Magma Ranger, you know? It's not a lot of cards that are worse, but you might still. In Arena, the card is not too bad. Not too good either, not too bad. But in Constructed, it's never going to see play. Moving on. Let's see what you guys said. You guys said some interesting in chat now. Why even have it in the game? Well, because of limited. Yeah, you have to think of stuff like Arena, you know? Like, just because one card is better than the other doesn't mean that one of them doesn't need to exist. It just means that the one card is better in a format where you can choose which one you want to play. In a format where you have no way of playing or picking, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, and new players can look at these two cards and they're like, oh, this card is better, you know? So they learn. But yeah, Alliance Champion is a counter to Void Caller. There's nothing more to say about this card. It prohibits, I don't know if this is the right word, but it basically just makes them able to make better demons in the future with death rattles. But currently it's just a counter to Void Caller, but I really like that they're making this card because it makes them able to make stronger death rattle demons in the future. So it's pretty, it's cool they made it. It's not a good card, but it's cool they made it. Then Master of Ceremonies, same. Currently the spell damage minions aren't good enough to warrant deck slots, so this isn't either because it's a synergy card. But a 6 A 6/4 for 3 mana is very strong, so it's cool. It's a good card on its own, but there aren't enough synergy cards, so it's not going to see play, but it's good. It's good. Moving on. Saboteur. Battlecry, your opponent's hero power costs 5 more. So I was thinking of ways to use this. I really can't find ways to use this. The only way that I can find to use this is against Token Paladin if they have like a dream opening. But even in that case, or even in that scenario, you would rather just clear their board. So I don't see this ever becoming a thing. Saboteur is just bad. Let's move on. Not much to say about it really. Polymorph bar. It's so fucking cool, I know. It's so cool. But yeah, let's move on. Silent Knight, Stealth, Divine Shield, 2/2. So, since it's a common, it's like a replacement for Fiola, I guess, in the decks that play her. I don't know. I have the ability to play all the cards in the game, so I'm going to play Fiola over this. People that don't have all the cards in the game can play Silent Knight over Fiola. I don't actually think it's that bad. But I'm always going to play Fiola. So for me the card is bad. For new players that want replacements to other cards, maybe it's good. I don't know. But yeah. Silent Knight is not good for players that have all the cards basically. Silverhand Regent. Inspire, summon a 1/1 Silverhand Recruit, 3/3, so on. This card is strong. Many people might not think it's strong, but it is strong. And the reason it's strong is because of Fen Coach. If Fen Coach was not a card, it would not be as strong. So paying 5 mana, getting 2 1/1s, Silverhand, 1/1 Silver Hands, and a 3/3 that has this effect. It's not bad. So I think the card could see play, but I don't see room for it. Maybe, but I don't think the Token Paladin I'm thinking of wouldn't rejoice over this card because they have the Murloc Knight thing. So yeah, but it's cool. It's an option, and it's always nice to have options. And it's really great that the card isn't shitty because it's an option. If I find myself wanting more tokens in my Token Paladin and I want more consistency instead of Murloc Knight, then I will definitely play this over Murloc Knight, but currently it looks like Murloc Knight is just better. I've already talked about all these cards. These are class cards. Okay, here are some neutrals again. Almost done, by the way, guys. This took some hours, but I'm gonna post this on YouTube later, so people that didn't want to watch the whole thing, which I completely understand, you can see it on YouTube. Argent Watchman can attack, inspire, can attack this turn. Normal this turn. So if the card was a 3/4, it might have been broken, but it would be way better. Currently, it's probably not playable. Yeah. I'm just thinking of decks to play it in. I really don't see any. I would rather want Ancient Watcher a lot of times, but it doesn't really use 2 cards, I get that, but still I would want Ancient Watcher in my deck over this. I don't think it's gonna see much play. Argent Watchman is probably bad. Yeah, probably bad. But it's cool. It's an option. But it's not good, that being said. Next card. Bone Guard Lieutenant. Inspire, gain 1+ health. This card is not very good because it inspires. Its Inspire effect is not strong enough. If it had Inspire gain 2 at health, then it would be very good, but since it's only like 1 health, it won't see play. If you stack up your hero power a lot of times, it of course becomes better, but it's still not a good card. You need to put so much effort into getting a 3/3, and there are cards that are basically like 4/4s or 5/5s, like value and stat wise, for 2 mana in the game already, so you wouldn't play this. And yeah, Bone Guard Lieutenant is just bad compared to other 2-drops. Moving on. Flame Juggler, Battlecry, deal 1 damage to random enemy. same as Viola, sort of. It's too random, too inconsistent. It can trade into Zombie Chows, I get the point, but if it misses, it's just bad, and I would rather play Juggler, because Juggler is better late game. This one is so bad in the late game, it doesn't do anything in the late game. So yeah, Flame Juggler is bad. For sure, he's bad. Like, there's no way he's good. Or, I mean, in a meta where, like, every single deck plays Leper Gnome, sure, but it's not gonna happen. It's just never gonna happen. I think the rest of the cards are pretty bad, honestly. Let's just review all of them anyways. Garrison Commander, you can use your hero power twice on your turn. Well, sure. So why would I want to do this again? I don't know. I really don't like paying 6 mana for 2 hero powers and some Inspire effects. Sure, if your opponent leaves one of your Inspire minions on the board, it's crazy. But he doesn't want, like, if he leaves one of them on board anyways, he's gonna lose. So warranting a card slot for this. It's not very good. It's like an early game, late game card, and those generally aren't very good. It's just not enough value in general. Garrison Commander. I'm not gonna see much play. I mean, there's like crazy scenarios where like, oh, you have so many things on your board and shit, and then you like use it twice, and you're like, oh my god, I got like fucking like 5 war Kodos, but no, it's not gonna happen too often. Okay, so Lancebearer is the next card. Battlecry, give a minion 2+ attack. I already said this a few times. It's like the same as... It's basically in the middle of Abusive Sergeant and... yeah, it's like the decks that doesn't want Abusive Sergeant but also doesn't want a better 2-drop would play this. But I don't know, I don't see any decks that would want that. It's just a worse Abusive Sergeant for the decks that wants the Abusive Sergeant effect, and it's only going to be played in decks that like wants the Abusive Sergeant effect. It's good for trading upwards, but it's not good. But it's not enough to warrant a deck slot just to like trade upwards. Like if you want if you want to have another Abusive Sergeant that is overcosted, then maybe, but probably still bad. Lancebearer is not going to see play for sure. I think there's 2 more cards or something now. Oh wait, there's 4 more cards. Well, I'm just going to do these quick because these are very stupid. Gadgets and Juster. Reveal a minion in each of your deck. If your cost more, gain 1+1. Interesting because it's an early game minion. I actually could play this, but I don't see any point in playing it over Zombie Chow, honestly. It's just Zombie Chow is better for the decks that is going to play this. Only thing is like Burn Shaman might want to play this over something else, but I still don't think, over Zombie Chow I mean, but I still don't think it's better than Zombie Chow in any way. It's just dice. Yeah, Zombie Chow is just better. Yep. For sure. Zombie Chow is better than Gadgets and Juster. Injured Qualier. Battlecry, deal 3 damage to this minion. Only thing I can think of is like drawing cards with this and Northshire Cleric and Circle, and then having like a bunch of minions on board that you draw cards with early on. But I don't think it's what Priest needs. Priest needed... they basically got what they needed. They needed Wormrest Agent. That's the card they needed. They didn't need the Injured Qualier. I mean, it's good with Circle of Healing, but I don't see that being a thing ever. Maybe. Yeah, the King's Alec is super good. I'm gonna post the review and then you can watch through the cards if you wanna like hear my opinion on any one of the cards. Some of them I haven't talked about that much, but it's just like if the card is bad, I don't want to use a lot of time talking about it because I'm already been doing this for a few hours now. Yeah, injured Qualdier is not going to see play. It is bad. It's not what decks are looking for, basically. Every card in your deck, after a while, needs to serve a very specific role. And Injured Qualdier doesn't do that. It's the same as Injured Blade Master, and Injured Blade Master is better. So, moving on. Lovely Squire, Inspire, gain 1 plus attack. 1/1/2 for 1. So, the only class I can see this being used in is Rogue. And in Rogue, you have Buccaneer, or whatever, the pirate. So, yep, card is bad. It's never gonna see play. No one is surprised about that, I would assume. Okay, so tournament attendee. I don't know what to say about this card. It's a fucking 2/1 with taunt. It's like, it's worse than Goldshire Footman almost. Or maybe a bit better actually, I don't know. It's never gonna see any play. Or like, if there's ever like a Sue Bolster Warrior, sure, maybe, but it's just a bad card. Tournament attendee is not gonna see play. And that's the last card. Holy shit, I did this for a few hours now. I'm getting pretty tired. Yeah, I'm so sick of starting the new cards now. But yeah, done with all the cards. So now I just need to like record this shit, edit, and put it on YouTube. And it's gonna take like a few hours, maybe an hour or two. But now I'm done with all the cards. And I probably have very different views on many of the cards than other players have. I would very much assume so. But yeah. I'm also going to be done streaming. I'm not going to play any more Hearthstone in the next, like until the expansion gets released, basically. So I'm not going to be streaming anymore either. Kind of just done until it comes out. And yeah, when it comes out, like I said, I'd like to make a lot of cool decks, but right now I'm kind of sick of Hearthstone, so I'm not going to play until the expansion comes out. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to go and edit this now, and gonna go and edit this and put it on YouTube. Do you think 18th is a possible date? I don't know. I don't know anything before they release the dates, basically. Yeah, if there's any cards that you guys wonder what I think about, just look at the video that I'm going to be posting soon, or just go and look at the VOD if you want to know it now. Yeah, see you guys in another stream.